right-hand side yet again. Yes, he's trying to pressure out the solo lane. We saw him do it in game 1 and a little bit in game 2. His goal is to kind of just pressure out Snowflake. Terra!
Oh my god! Oh my god! Brian Codex out here soloing Alfredo, the support, taking down the ADC. That's gotta be a clip that we throw somewhere, man. That was absolutely bonkers. Alfredo not feel the global ult, but she's here despite that. And we might see Apollo able to come as well. The final basic as Kairos tries to finish it off with the dash, but Fuzzy Clay did this, but regardless, it will be a Primal Fury going the way of Fuzzy and the Wuzzies, and now over 10,000 gold up before 20 minutes into the game, and it wants to be even more. Warden trying to chase out Kairos. It will be some peel, but
Fuzzy
joining in on the ultimate, gonna force out the ultimate from Kairos as well, and he might just get away, but it forces him to dash into a rough spot. Raijin dashes as well, trying to get damage from the Taiko Drum, so gets taken out before he can get more than one shot off, but Alfredo finding himself a double kill, looking for the triple. Fafnir low, triple kill coming out from Alfredo. He's going to look for the Quadra, getting low here, trying to find it onto the Artemis, but Double Mumble doing a great job of zoning him out and gets the dash to finish off the kill. Soul still alive, wants to put more damage into this Sobek, and he might be able to finish it off, and he does. 4 members fall from Going Ghost, only 3 members on the side of Fuzzy and the Wuzzies, and I gotta say, it
That's all of their ults? Yeah. Oh.
huge! Oh my god!
Huge.
Yeah,
Oh,
let's
bro.
go!
My goodness.
That room. Can you knock up?
I have it in 1.
Nah. Damn. If we were all right, we could do gold. I just killed Matt, too.
Kill the Bacchus.
Bacchus, easier kill.
Coming over. Nice job.
He jumped?
Yeah,
Nope.
he jumped around me.
Yeah, we don't have anyone else coming. He's gone.
I'm just
We can leave
backing
him
real
go.
quick.
Good shit.
Oh, just supports carrying games.
All me, baby, all me! You really thought you could contain this amount of God-given talent? It's already too late to run, just give me the penta! You can thank me later? Nah, you can thank me now. Somebody's gonna end up calling the police if this cyberbullying...
And I think that'll be it for the team fight. They're gonna try and back away and get away with their lives here after all said and done.
That was a very tentatively played fight, but it's not over yet!
What are you doing there? What are you doing there, Rack
said
Attack?
I'm glad you said it, because I was thinking the exact same thing. It's object permanence. Hey.
That kill, but now it's the Gold Fury started up again.
It's being pulled, it's being leashed. Ragnarok is used, pulling him further away. And Alien Nation going to pick it up. All members of Dismay instead put their attention onto Demise, and the Gold Fury became free. For the other team, still not there, rolling forth. They want to guarantee the fall to get the trade. They do. Weezer's found a second kill of this fight. Radical finds the third one onto Vibe, and it's all onto Blizzato to try and get away with this time. Doesn't have his crystals available yet, and Weezer gets a double kill in the end. That's an overall 4 for 1, and it looks like the Gold Fury as well.
Massive turn for Alien Nation taking that team fight, and we...
Welcome everybody to week 2 for the AGL. Today we got an awesome match for you. We're actually going to have the gold division get some rep out here. I am King Batu on the desk here. With me as well is going to be Spirited Buck. Spirited, how are you feeling about this matchup?
Pretty good, pretty good. Really excited to see just some more games here in the AGL. Still week 2. So teams with either looking to even the score in the 1-1 department, push themselves ahead with a 2-0, or give themselves their first win this week.
Yeah, pretty cool going in with this. We're going to have the Free Range Chickens and the Binx Jaguars. Before we get into these picks and bans, like I said, this is a gold division, so a little bit on the lower of our scale of our play. Not to say that it was bad Smite games by any sort of means, but do you see any sort of shift from the games we normally see being a little bit lower as far as priority, or you think maybe some crutch picks that it might come out?
I wouldn't necessarily consider them crutch picks, but probably some like more comfort picks. I think we would probably lean more towards, not necessarily those OP picks. Maybe we will see some stuff like Tiamat, Ardio, who we've seen a lot of play this past weekend. If you missed it in playoffs, Titans, congratulations to them. But no, probably going to see more of the comfort style. So maybe some more oddball picks, or we would consider them oddball, but maybe, to them it just makes perfect sense.
Yeah. Well, with that, we're going to go right in and jump to these game 1 picks and bans here. But yeah, like we're talking, one thing else we do want to note out here is that Persephone is now back in play. So it'll be interesting to see kind of a higher skill cap god, although she did get a change that I think seems to lower that skill level a little bit. So interesting to see if she's going to get picked or banned here. As I say that, first couple bans rock through. Tiamat and Persephone are going to be those first 2 bans.
Right, and this is probably where we'll see those, because you never know if those... not everyone plays Tiamat or Persephone, which is interesting to me, but I think Persephone still being new, you don't know if they're going to play it, you don't know if they can't play it. So your goal is literally, okay, if we aren't going to look for it at all, and we don't know if they play it or not, we're just getting it off the table. So really good ban from Binx Jaguars. Free range chickens with the Tiamat ban and the Gilgamesh ban, I think, are interesting, considering they're in that first pick position. Normally you're looking for those high priority picks, but it just kind of tells me that we are going to see that sort of style of, we're going to go with what we know best and our sort of comfort style.
Yeah, well, as we come through the rest of these, you mentioned that Odin, Gilgamesh, Artemis now banned, which kind of puts Binx Jaguar in an interesting position because Athena, Morgan, Le Fay, Osiris, there's a couple of picks open. So interesting to see if they're going to leave those all and kind of pick what's left that free range chickens don't pick, or if they're just going to go with kind of picking something select away. They are going to ban the Athena, so does put free range chickens in the chance of where they can maybe grab that Izanami, maybe another hunter that they like. Rama we've seen a lot this weekend in AGL specifically, or whatever they're going to go. They do hover, and it looks like, yeah, they are going to lock in that Morgan Le Fay. Can't hate that first overall pick.
No, Morgan, definitely one of the better mages in the game right now. Nothing to scoff at for sure. But interesting, I don't consider her a first pick, but if you are sort of at this level, not the high level that we're used to seeing, I don't mind seeing it. You're just looking to sort of get that pick in your draft, and then, okay, let's build the draft around this Morgan. Let's kind of use what she's really good for, and which is that sort of peel for herself potential, as well as just dealing lots of damage. And then, of course, we see that right away with, a peel support out of Geb.
Yeah, one that we don't really see, and he does kind of struggle, but I think at this kind of that gold plat level can really excel, because a lot of those times those late games can get a little bit messier. You can get there a little bit easier without having quite that kind of over in 5-10 minute kind of game where you can close it out, and a lot of teams at this level really struggle to kind of push those leads and hold on to those leads. So I really like the Geb pick here. As we did mention, the Rama does get locked in. So dual lane already set, mid lane already set, but it does mean that right side of the right side of the map, that draft is going to have to wait for the second phase.
Right, and I don't mind this idea out of Binx Jaguars. I kind of like this style where they're saying, like, okay, we want to get our Izanami, really strong hunter right now, arguably one of the best, gonna go up against that Rama, as well as Osiris, one of the better junglers, could flex a solo as well, maybe a little support. Nah, Awesome Jake's not in the game, but definitely jungle and solo are his main roles right now, where he can just abuse sort of the backliners, which is why I'm honestly so surprised that Morgan was kind of first picked, and with Osiris still on the table. So we shall see.
Yeah, and as we start that Fenrir lock, it also does have a little bit of that flex potential. Bans start to roll in now. That second phase, though, Erlon Shenben, kind of an interesting ban there. And then one not so interesting, the Raijin. Like seeing that ban. You've got your Morgan Le Fay, you've already got your mid. Might as well start taking some of those top mages away from the other team.
I agree, yeah. Getting rid of those really strong mages that when they don't have one, I think is definitely the play here. As well as just the Erlong, there's no jungler on the side of free range chickens, getting rid of sort of that that warrior who is kind of able to match a somewhat pressure styled as Osiris. The jungler on free range chickens will probably have to lean towards something possibly more assassin or go something a little more off meta, seeing as Fenrir has really been seen as that bruiser sort of style of play in the jungle. You build a lot of hybrid on him and just stack defense on him, and then your just goal is to burn beads and probably kill the enemy carry.
Yeah, well, the last couple bans, Baba Yaga, again, still focusing on that mage. Not necessarily the mage we see, but I'm not going to hate on a Baba Yaga ban. Late game, those numbers where she absolutely slaps. We saw that last week. You and I were for that one, some of those numbers that she can do. And then the Cthulhu ban kind of looks to be, I would guess, a solo directed ban, kind of a catch-all, as we have seen a lot of the Guardians, but surprisingly, no RDO picture ban, so interesting to see if Free Range Chickens maybe depicts that up. But first, Binx Jaguar look to kind of give some clarity to their draft as they start hovering the Cerberus.
Right, and I think Cerberus is actually really good here alongside the Fenrir, and just because you have the Fenrir in your composition, it's not exactly clear where it's going to go yet. His goal is to literally pick up a backliner who doesn't have beads. You're not going to be able to do that if they have beads. So the goal of the Cerberus here is to literally blink in, force the beads back up, and then the Fenrir is going to go and pick someone up, and that's going to be the person that this composition from Free Range Chicken is designed to kill. Their goal is single target with this Rama, Geb, Morgan, Cullen covered in, locked in, and then Thanatos as well. This kind of does solidify this idea out of Free Range Chickens of we're just going to peel for this backline mage, and then the Thanatos is designed to just go in immediately after and hopefully kill a backliner if it's locked in.
Yeah, interesting here, like you mentioned, that Cerberus Fenrir got that beads burning potential from both, as well as that it kind of be changing the other way. You can kind of have Cerberus to try to get some catch-all beads, and then Fenrir to kind of get that one person down. But the Geb might made that a little bit different, but I really feel like Free Range Chickens are kind of going all in on this dive, and just the Rama backline, Cullen dive, Thanatos dive. They're really kind of looking to get that pick and just try to use that Geb to try to keep everybody alive and juggle everything.
Yeah, exactly. We saw very briefly, I don't know if you watch the intros very often, but very briefly we saw a 3-4 man Geb ult earlier, and then Poseidon Kraken. So yeah, can act as that sort of peel potential as well as the huge setup with that AoE ultimate. And I think Thanatos probably, Scythe is, it's not hard to hit, sure, but every once in a while you do need some CC to hit it, as well as the ultimate just to lock someone down. So I don't mind this style out of Free Range Chickens and where they've gone with this draft. On the flip side, Binx with the interesting last pick out of the Thoth. Not sure if I'm a fan just yet.
Yeah, it is. It's one of those the mages that when he doesn't get touched, he is absolutely amazing. The range is almost unmatched. Morgan Le Fay, I'd say one of the few that can kind of match his range. And they do have his, traditional counter pick and that Fenrir picked away. And this Thanatos really, other than that ult, really doesn't have a whole lot to chase down. So I'm not totally against it, but I kind of think I'm echoing your sentiment here that I kind of need to see this in the game before I really hop on board.
I do agree. I do think that if Binx does, will they have picked the Thoth? This is kind of the perfect composition for the Thoth to work out in, with that Fenrir and Cerberus Osiris just playing to dive and run it down at the enemy backline. Thoth is the long range artillery mage who's just going to be firing off from a distance. If someone is going to go up into the dog's mouth, that guy is dead.
Yeah, so with that, we have some kind of high execution comps, but we're going to go head it over to the cast to kind of see how this goes. So Akira and Argent, they're going to go ahead and take it away for us.
Thank you so much, King Batu and Spirited. Some AA action today. Akira and Argent on the cast. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing good. Saw myself earlier on the stream at 2 p.m., so I'm excited to share the wealth, as they say, and get our guy over on the desk. Batu, some action here now.
Yeah, that's right. Actually, in a sense, King Batu just threw it to himself, didn't he? As he is going to be piloting the Cerberus for Binx Gaming. Some early... Sorry, go ahead.
No, you're good. I'm just noting that, strangely, that they have the Osiris in the solo. I mean, yeah, looking at their comp, it was pretty certain, though there could have been maybe a Fenrir support, Cerberus solo, and the Osiris jungle, which has been more common nowadays. So getting such a high ranked pick like Osiris right now, it's gonna be really interesting to see how they play in the solo over what he's more popularly played in jungle right now.
Agreed. That would have been my call as well. But I do think this comp can definitely work out. Fenrir not exactly weak in the jungle, I would say. And there is some early scuffles going on here. Health bar's getting a little bit low, but no one getting sent back to the fountain just quite yet. Classic mid 2v2. What do you think about these opening builds from our players here today?
I think it's pretty generally traditional, except for I think the
Actually,
most
hold that
obvious
thought.
one
Sorry about that. Thanatos coming in for a gank on the left side. The silence is good, but not enough kill potential. Sorry about that. Why don't you go ahead and continue the breakdown of those builds?
No, you're good. I was a bit too distracted to even see that was coming in because I noticed that they have a Geb with mannequins as a starting item here. That's not exactly a support starter. It's usually built for, you know, junglers, sometimes ADCs. Coming in on the support is questionable. Geb's not exactly known for his auto attack cancels.
Yeah, interesting to see how they are planning on getting value out of that. Maybe a late game hidden blade, but even then, it seems like in the early game, maybe you'd want to pick that up later. We'll have to see how that works out. We see the Fenrir already going for some invades here in the order side jungle, but it looks like he's being collapsed on. The Brutalize is good to get away. Will they be able to keep up with the Fenrir? And it looks like no. Fenrir's jump, I believe called Unchained is the technical term for it. Good to get him out of trouble in that situation. But yeah, the
that's a really good way to kind of counter the early Thanatos pressure, because Thanatos is his whole thing is early game he can kill you. Fenrir, while still strong early game, needs to potentially avoid having that combat happen because the Thanatos has the silence. He can get him out of his main damaging ability with the Brutalize. So just already invading, kind of getting Thanatos off his game, making sure he can't get that XP, can give him maybe a bit of an early level lead that he can then snowball into the team fight to keep Thanatos down.
Well, we do see some value coming out of that Mannequin Scepter because Geb is able to clear those left mid Harpies all by his lonesome, so maybe that's the play here. Gank coming in on the Kukulin, on the Osiris. Kukulin does get the ult, the Lord of the Afterlife used defensively, but Fenrir is here. Possibility for a re-engage, but they do decide to back off and reset.
I'm also noting that the Geb isn't going Gauntlet of Thieves, which is the more traditional, you know, starter item for supports as well. But this guy is anything but traditional from what we've seen so far. So maybe we'll see probably a Sovereignty come out as probably the next substitute for that first starter item. Get some early physical protections for the entire team. This is going to be a very interesting point in the game when everyone's going to be taking 5 here, see who and where the team fight's going to start around, as we can see some brawling already starting to happen in mid lane.
They do back off though, Thoth getting some poke, and it looks like Waddle XP piloting the Rama's a little bit low. Solo lane, the classic slap fight between two big guys. Geb rotating over, but it looks like it's more looking at those back camps rather than coming in for a gank on this in the solo lane. So relatively uneventful so far, but with these comps, definitely we'll see it heat up as soon as a team fight does get committed to, and maybe we see it here with Batu jumping in, pushing back the Morgan Le Fay, but there's not enough follow-up to take her down, so she is able to reset and just start going back to farming the wave.
Yeah, without being 5, the Cerber Assault not able to be available for Batu allows Fallen Legend just back out there safely, not getting the beads or the ultimate pulled. It seems as though Binx Gaming is really wanting to put some early pressure in on the mid lane, make sure they feel uncomfortable in the mid jungle, which is a really good game plan into the Morgan Le Fay and Thanatos, keep them off their games. We see Cerberus actually looking for another aggressive play. Actually,
this time he's got the ult, but
beads.
It's not enough. Getting the beads and getting pushed back by the Geb. Geb ult down, pushing King Batu on that Cerberus back. The Thoth ult is ready, but it's too late. The Fenrir was able to get it, and on the left, a solo kill it looks like, from Bones onto the Thanatos. Izanami onto the Thanatos, and Geb is locked down here in big trouble. And that's another one for the Chaos side, going up 3-0 in a matter of, I would say, less than a minute there. Turning the tide and giving themselves a comfortable, slightly greater than 1,000 gold lead.
Now Izanami's looking for a solo kill on Rom. Rom has to run for his life. Izanami gets the dash in. Oh. And the last auto. Oh, Bones is already putting out an early lead. That's not what you want to happen when you're playing against Izanami. Izanami gets the solo kill on the Thanatos. Draft tries to come in without ulting. I think he tries to get a blink play in on the Izanami and just catches the Izanami ult to his mouth. Without his scythe, without his silence, there's not much he can really do into that, and just gets completely burst down by the Izanami, and then followed by the solo kill soon after. There's already a 2-level lead in the duo lane, and Izanami's not exactly known for slowing down once a lead's built up.
Post root is good. but under the tower, Morgan Trade will be safe. It's important to note that in that fight when Bones took down Waddle solo, the Izanami already had a completed Ichabal. The Rama was only able to complete that after he was sent back to the fountain there. So playing the power spikes correctly, the Chaos side, I would say.
I'm just noticing that the Gebs finished his first item with the mystical mail, as with the starter of the med cloak, the mystical mail, and the mannequins. I think he's getting ready for the next big patch because we know that mannequins is getting.
Big fight over here with the blue buff. Sorry, Fenrir is knocked down. Will Thanatos go down as well? Thanatos will go down as well, not able to get out there. For a 1-for-1. Not sure who got the blue buff, but now it looks like Kukolin's in a spot of bother here. Binx Gaming pushing him down. The tether is good. Will it be enough for the stun? And Kukolin is stunned, but Morgan gets big fear. Big fear. Osiris still fighting, getting low. Kukolin is also still low, but the Thoth ult is good, and Kukolin eventually gets put in the dirt. Not enough, though. That was an incredible defensive play from the Morgan, but maybe Geb is not done. He's coming in for the rotation onto the Thoth. Ult is good. While Binx Gaming goes for the Scorpion, gets pushed off of the Scorpion, but there's still 3 over there. You got to be careful, Geb. Osiris still there on zoning duty, and I think that will be the end of the fight in solo. A little bit extended, but to no avail for our order side free-range chickens.
Yeah, free range chickens trying to find some type of counter pressure in the solo side, trying to invade a blue buff. It doesn't go well because they just get out rotated on. The Binx Gaming sent 3 people to their blue buff with Thoth coming in soon after to make it 4. And when you're just having a Thanatos and Kukolin up there, there's not much you can do.
Are the snipes good?
Oh, he gets the second one.
Oh, the third one was what he needed, but he didn't quite get it. Now he's in trouble. Fenrir coming in. But the rollout is good, and Rama will make it back under the tower safely. Fenrir not content with that, exploring the enemy side jungle, but then falling back to the Gold Fury, where Cerberus is waiting. Do you think they'll be able to start it up here? Oh, excuse me. Thanatos forced to ult defensively.
What is he doing between the towers?
I'm not sure about this pathing. He might be... Oh, he's on a ward. Binx Gaming knows exactly where he is, and that's the Ragnarok. I think that Fenrir might be out of range. Yeah, he is. Having to fall back, but this fight is still going. Thanatos with a silence. King Batu's Cerberus ult does not get enough. The Geb cleanse is good. Everyone's sort of jockeying for position in the free-range chicken's jungle here. And the results of this fight might result in a Gold Fury, but it looks like Zixus will be back to reset on that Fenrir and maybe pick up an item here and then go back to jockeying for that Gold Fury, which is probably going to be the next objective on the map to be fought over.
Yeah, and Binx has all the pressure in the world right now. They can just control the map. Even if you're just looking at the ward vision that they just have so many more wards up than free-range chickens does. And with that ward control, they can punish any bad pathings. We saw the Thanatos get caught out between T1 and T2 as there's some solo train going on over there. But Thanatos, I think, was looking for maybe some invades, trying to get something back in XP. Currently, jungle is still even in levels. Both are level 8. But if you continuously just keep pushing for an invade without any success, then get yourself caught out in an awkward position like that. You're just essentially just handing Binx Gaming whatever map pressure they could possibly want.
For sure, we'll have to see if they'll be able, if the free-range chickens will be able to match that pressure in some way. And it looks like Izanami gets another solo onto that Rama. Now 3-0-0 on the Izanami, 0-2-0 on the Rama. Though they are at the same point in their builds, the Izanami is up 2 levels. But Free Range Chickens does get one back. The Osiris going down under his tower. And that's a rotation from the Thanatos. But in exchange, Binx Gaming heads up play onto the Fury. And I don't believe that anyone from Free Range Chickens is in position to contest this.
Yeah, that's a really good call from Binx Gaming. If I'm Nyx, I'm sitting there under my tower with Kukolin and Thanatos chasing me down to death, I would just call for them to go to the Gold Fury. We already know that Waddle, who's going to be the main contestant with the Rommel, is dead, or just respawning coming out of base, so there's no contest there for them, and that's just a really good gold call.
Agreed. Not a total loss of Free Range Chickens, because they get the kill on the Osiris, and they drop 4. Though, depending on the pressure, Binx Gaming may be thanking them for that when they go for the Pyro or Fire Giant early. We'll have to see how that plays out. And Binx Gaming has established, what, about a 2k lead here?
Yeah, just about. I would say most of that is honestly in the dual lane side here, but the Izanami had a 2-level lead, even though Rom's not shying away from the fight, rolling
Goes
in.
right
He just
in.
needs to hit 2 more autos, but the turnaround is too good. The turnaround damage is just insane from the Izanami. The stim coming out with the 1, just causing that extra damage, the extra little bit of attack speed, just beats out the Rom in the 1v1.
Honestly, not a terrible decision except for that level disparity. They're at the same point in their builds. Now Izanami is going to be a little bit ahead as she does get to go back and spend that gold. But yeah, unfortunate for the Rama there. Going in on the low Izanami and still getting sort of, what would you say, stuffed? Was that the basketball term?
Yeah, that sounds about right. I mean, props to him. He's still looking for fights, being now 3 levels down into an Izanami, who is a notorious lane pusher. So all the props there is Fenrir's looking for something, but nothing out of that. What I do really want to bring attention to is that even though Binx seems to have they have 6 more kills than Free Range Chickens does, and they've had control over the map, the XP isn't as far leaning as we thought it would be. Yes, there's the 4-level lead in the duo lane, but otherwise, Thanatos has a level up on Fenrir. Geb has 2 levels up on Cerberus. So they're showing that they're able to get XP elsewhere and still keep themselves even in the game.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if that's a combination of maybe farming, pressure, invades, but but the Free Range Chickens are playing the map a little bit better, it looks like. As Rama goes up into the air for the snipes, will they be enough onto this Izanami? And it looks like no, the snipes are not good, but the Thanatos, it might be, but the Aegis is good, and the Cerberus is able to turn it around. Izanami lives, Fenrir picks up Rama. Geb, not quite under the tower, but the Brutalize will be enough to send Geb back to the fountain, and now Rama's in trouble, though not enough backup for this Fenrir here. Morgan Le Fay here for the backup, but the Thoth ult is ready. Oh, just short, but the Izanami's 2 is not quite short, and unfortunately the Rama will also be sent back to base. Big win for Binx Gaming in that team fight over on the left side of the map.
I think Izanami just killed Rom from quarter HP with her too. I straight up think she just ability damage diffed him. That was insane, and that was such a weird engagement from Free Range Chickens. They showed the aggression with the Geb and Rom, and then the second that Cerberus, the 2 showed up, the Geb left. He was gone. He started rolling out. He goes, all right, you know what? We're not going to get any pressure here. There's no point us continuing to try to fight this level 15 Izanami. But Rom stayed around and caused him to get engaged on, gets good return damage on the Izanami, and then he backs off as Thanatos goes in. So it seems like a lot of confusion on whether or not they actually want to engage from Free Range Chickens, and I think once they can maybe figure that out, they might be able to see some success, as they are getting Binx Gaming pretty low as they take the Pyromancer.
Yeah, Binx Gaming does get that Pyromancer for free, and Thanatos in trouble here with only Kukulin to defend him. Thanatos' ult is good to get him out. Kukulin is going in against this as Thanatos dives back in. King Batu low on that Cerberus, and he will be put down. But in exchange for that Thanatos, and Izanami is here, so Kukulin will not be getting away with that one. A 2-for-1 trade there in favor of Binx Gaming. And yeah, as you pointed out, comms are difficult. One of the most difficult things I think to transitioning from sort of like a normals to ranked player to comp is comms. I mean, have you ever tried talking to your ranked teammates?
Oh yeah, and that never goes well. I want to continue this, but I'm really concerned because I saw Morgan Le Fay start to walk behind the 4 people of Binx, and I thought she was about to walk into her certain death, but she decides better than that to get farm while T2 is pushed. Currently, still no contestation there, but Binx is probably going to back up. But yeah, communication is very important, especially when you have such a lot of teamfight ultimates like the Geb ult, the Thanatos ult, the Kukulin. You have to have somebody shot calling and determining, hey, we are fighting here, or hey, we're backing off here. And if that is established, especially when you're still learning kind of the higher parts of competitive Smite, you really just have to listen to whatever that person's saying. Even if you think it's an awful call, following that in, 5 people following in on tower dive that goes wrong is better than 1 person diving in while everyone else walks away.
Osiris, Lord of the Afterlife, onto the Morgan. Thoth is following up. The Geb ult is good, but it might not be enough. It looks like Morgan will be going down here, but no, the Aegis is good. Now the Cerberus ult getting 2 or 3. Thoth ult fired. Thanatos up in the air. Cerberus goes down. But the Thanatos ult is no good. Just missed it. Geb shield on him will get him out. But in the meantime, Izanami gets another solo kill under Rama. You got a feel for him there. Oh no, Gabbo's lazy backing. That's an unfortunate choice, but not unfortunate enough to kill him right there. And it looks like Binx Gaming will take another win and the T1 tower in mid, unless Thanatos has something to say about it, but I don't think he will in this situation.
Unfortunately, he might have been able to potentially get something on Zixus or Nyx there if he managed to hit the Death Scythe, but a minion throwing himself in front of it keeps that damage from going down on him. And man, this ROM is not having a good day. I mean, you get down to an Izanami of all ADCs, and at the point that they get a level lead, once the first or second attempt to try to get a solo kill or a gank, it goes wrong for you. If you're the ROM here, you just start rotating. You start asking your teammates, hey, can we start a fight somewhere else away from this Izanami so I can rotate and potentially have an impact? Because, again, free-range chickens, they're getting Binx decently low. They're having some success on the health bars, and if maybe they have the ROM to either just bombard them with the snipes or add in his autos, that could potentially turn a fight in their favor. But staying isolated on the duo side just gives Izanami more free towers and free lane and free kills.
Yeah, unfortunate situation for the ROM, and even more unfortunate, I would say, for Binx Gaming as a whole. Now with the Oni minions going down, but it looks like maybe free range chickens will almost get the filth, but he gets away. Morgan Le Fay goes down in turn. Thanatos up in the air. Oh, the execute is good this time. But that's still a 2-for-1 in favor of Binx Gaming. With the Oni waves are done, but Thanatos is caught out here, and there is no escape without that ult. So now a 1-for-3 with Binx Gaming, and yeah, it looks like they're going straight for that Fire Giant, which should be free with Rama nowhere in position and Kukulin retreating.
Yeah, I mean, Thana gets the trade. He kills the Thoth, which is still big for him personally with the XP and for his team. But just there's no way out of that. He knew that was going to be a suicide mission, but at the very least he gets the kill. If I'm Kukulin here, I don't know why I'm going in. He's getting burst down immediately and punished.
He gets the Cerberus ult, but not enough. Lord of the Afterlife down for Osiris. The snipes are ready for Rama. Will it be the steal? Oh, and right back down onto the Osiris, who just got Fire Giant. This is terrible for Waddle. Will Nyx be able to put him down? And with the Curse Donk deployed, it looks like yes. The Geb rollout is just a little late. And the Cerberus, King Batu Cerberus is here onto Raid Boss. Zixus and Giraffe Anthony fighting over the speed buff. So a small win for Free Range Chickens. Giraffe Anthony getting his speed buff. He's up in the air, but it looks like a defensive ult, unless he's going to dive in solo. I don't know about that one. Yeah, a defensive ult out of him. And they do get Zixus Blink there as well. I don't know about this hard defense on the T2. Zixus jumping in onto Raid Boss's Geb, dragging him back. The flank from Izanami good, taking down Giraffe Anthony. And that's the technical deicide. Kukulin is up, ready to defend the Phoenix on his own. 4 seconds on Waddle's Rama. But it looks like Binx is gunning for this Phoenix, and it's burning quickly. I don't think there's anything that Free Range Chickens will be able to do to stop it.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as there was a 6-level lead in the dual lane and Izanami ticked over to 20 while Rama's still 14, I mean, if I'm Free Range Chickens, I'm just thinking ahead. I'm thinking towards game 2. What do we have to change? What do we have to ban out? Maybe don't give Binx an Osiris, or maybe just ban out the Izanami, because clearly Bones is kind of just absolutely demolishing on it. But I would just call this game wash. If you're delaying this game at all, it's to talk strategy. You're not actually thinking you have a chance of winning this game.
Well, I mean, teams have been in tighter spots, but I don't see Zapman on either of these teams, so...
That is true. The passive is not active.
Free Pyromancer here for Binx Gaming. The Rama is going into a more auto-attack pen build, it looks like, versus the Izanami's crit. Hard to evaluate the difference in build pass, though, I would say, with that level difference.
You know, before this started, I was speaking with some guys on the desk, and we were talking about support builds and the like. And I was saying, you know, I don't know how I'd react if I saw a Pythags piece on the support, but if you go ahead and glance at Geb's build real quick, we see it there. And with the Blink Med Cloak and the rest of that build, Geb is quite possibly the most solo lane looking support I've ever seen in my life.
Not a traditional support build by any means, I would say. Unfortunately, does not seem to be paying dividends for the Geb. as Binx Gaming groups up on the left side to push down the sole remaining tower for Free Range Chickens. Free Range Chickens getting whatever farm they can, and then I guess lining up for the Phoenix defense here. Do you line up for the Phoenix defense here?
I personally, I mean, yeah. If you're Binx Gaming, you have as much time as you want. You have the Fire Giant. You can take your time, get the Primal, and push up. If you're Free Range Chickens, this Phoenix is essentially the only thing that is keeping you able to potentially contest the next Fire Giant. So if it's possible at all to defend it, I would. But if it looks like the fight's going to go bad for you, just depending on where people are positioned, give it up and fight outside the Titan room. This Phoenix is not worth potentially losing the game off of, if possible.
Gotcha. Oh, Waddle spotted up by the Osiris. Nyx pushes him back, but no kill potential here just yet. Don't lazy back. Free Range Chickens getting the T1, but it looks like Raid Boss on that Geb's a little bit caught out of position here. Not sure if Binx will be able to chase him down. The blink out of Geb, saving his life for now. JKT Kukulin getting the T1 in the solo lane. Free Range Chickens are spread out, but it doesn't look like Binx are particularly gunning for any specific objective except for Raid Boss, who is caught lazy backing, and I'm not sure if, well, you're running away from your base, so it does give the rest of your team a little more time to set up, but I'm not sure if that Geb is long for this world, as all of Binx Gaming are here on the right side of the map, near the Fire Giant. But now they're split up. Free Range Chickens may have a slight opportunity here as Giraffe Anthony blinks in.
Yeah, that's a very interesting choice to engage. It's a 3v3 right now.
There's a chance here. Onto Bones. The Aegis from the Izanami is now silenced. The ult is out, and Izanami takes down Thanatos, but gives her own life in exchange. That might have given Free Range Chickens a little bit of a window here, though the Thoth ult is good, taking down the Kukulin. A 2-for-1. And now Geb, Morgan Le Fay and Geb in the middle of everything. There's no way out. Unfortunately, I think that Izanami kill may have cost them too much. And I believe Binx Gaming will be taking us to game 2 here very shortly.
That was a really interesting idea. I mean, it worked in a sense. You still killed the Izanami, but there's a little bit of a delay from the Thanatos blink to the Kukulin blink. So I think that was just a really good opportunity idea that they acted on, which is good. It's a good step in the right direction. You're being able to point out when people are in opposition and try to make plays off of it. Unfortunately, the rest of your team's not there. There's too big of a lead, too big of a gold gap. But we're showing the Free Range Chickens didn't just roll over and die. They're trying to fight back, and hopefully in game 2 they can make some adjustments to help them do that.
And we will be definitely checking out what happens in game 2 after a short break and kicking it back to the desk, Batu and Spirited Book.
Welcome back, everybody. Very interesting game one, to say the least. Spirit and I were talking about it. Yeah, a little bit one-sided there for most of the game. Just a little bit in that ADC that kind of steamrolled, well, more than just the ADC, but that duo lane. But not a bad game from Binx Gaming. And I will say at the end, Free Range Chickens, kudos to them for still trying even down so far.
Yeah, they had a really good play towards the end of the game there to try and that sort of last-ditch effort when you're kind of down that far behind. You kind of got to look for those plays, and really good to see. I would just like them to try and do a little more in the early game, especially compared to this game. I don't know. They felt a little flat in the early, especially with a Thanatos. They kind of have to be looking for a lot more with a jungler like that. So definitely got to see a little more out of them this next game.
Yeah, a little bit more early game would be there, and with that not really working in the jungle, where do you think else they look for this in the early game? Maybe do they like to pick this Osiris away and push that in the solo lane, or maybe look more towards that mid and duo side of the map?
I would probably look towards both taking the Osiris and putting it in your hands, or something else, not giving them the Osiris, I think is really important, but also not giving them the Fenrir, which I thought was just all over the map and just kind of diffing a lot of these team fights. By way of just kind of sticking to targets and just saying, yeah, I'm going to kill you. Oh, there's a guy over there. Oh, I'm going to kill you too. And so, as well as just changing up, I think, a few different picks in general. I would like to see a little stronger of a duo lane compared to last game. Maybe a different support pick, a different ADC pick. To say Rama's really bad, but maybe either taking the Izanami for yourself or banning it. I think he really struggled last game against that matchup, and so just when you're going into game 2 as an ADC player yourself, sometimes you just want to change the way the matchup is played, and that'll give you a sort of advantage just in it from a mental aspect. So I think that's kind of the direction that they should take this.
Yeah, and some of those, we got to see one or two of those solo kills, unfortunately, for Waddle there, which
one or two
struggling there, but yeah, definitely need that mental reset here. But we'll go ahead and jump into those picks and bans. Get that up going. But something else that we kind of touched a little bit on the desk that I do want to bring up, that Thoth pick was a last pick, and it didn't go terribly bad, so
no,
he's not really in a great place as far as like the meta, not to say that he's bad, but just that he's not necessarily a top pick or ban, where this kind of shows that this mid laner feels very comfortable just waiting on those picks and can flex some of those kind of not so common picks.
Right, and I think that's mostly to do with the composition he had around him. You know, the Cerberus, the Fenrir, the Osiris as well. Just 3 oppressive picks to just kind of run it down. And again, just playing that artillery style of just shooting from afar. I would like to see him go for another similar god of that style. Obviously, Tiamat, Morgan kind of match that, but those are probably going to be picks that are banned away. Maybe even a Ra potentially, just playing to that long range potential of sniping away. Or other gods like Yanis, maybe.
Yeah, definitely a great variety of mages. I think mages are probably got the best state of the game right now. So even some that aren't that great, like like you mentioned, like the Ra or even the Thoth that we don't see too often, are able to be played into those right comps. But as we get into these picks and bans here, pretty standard from last game. Only thing different here is there is the Morgan Le Fay banned away by Free Range Chickens. So obviously didn't have a great game 1. They don't want it to fall into Binx Jaguar's hands. Don't mind this ban at all.
I like this change a lot, especially because, you know, the pick obviously didn't work out for you. It didn't really get you a whole lot out of that first pick position. So just kind of changing the draft up and saying, yes, let's look for something they had, like the Osiris, possibly the Izanami. It'll be interesting to see what they do. And sure enough,
Snap
interesting they go for this one, though.
Yeah, there was a lot of picks from that game, but really when there's that many picks, the Thoth looked good, you know, the Fenrir looked good, the Izanami looked good, the Osiris looked good. Like, when you only have one pick, you can't only take too many of them. But right off the bat, looks like we already have our ADC lane matched up as Cupid kind of falling off with these bow builds. Not that he doesn't excel, does able to get that Silver Branch stack with his passive, but usually we kind of see more of those bow hunters where he leaks to be a little bit more of that ability crit, those kind of metas there. So interesting lock-in at the beginning.
I really don't. I don't think Cupid's actually in a bad state right now. I think he's actually a really solid hunter. I don't like seeing him here though. It feels like Binx Jaguar just said, oh, they just picked Izanami. What's a great god that does well into Izanami with no CC mean ultimate? Oh, I know. Let's pick Cupid. And then they didn't take into account that there's a second pick, a third pick, fourth pick, and a fifth pick. who can easily now counter this Cupid style of play of this ultimate. Okay, now we just draft CC Immune ultimates that just don't care about this ultimate anymore.
Now, speaking of the CC Immune ultimates, we got the Geb making a return here in game 2, as well as the pick we mentioned getting to taken away, the Osiris. So you and I I think we share the kind of same sentiment about the Geb, but they take the Osiris and the Izanami away, so already I think they're onto a better step towards game 2.
Really surprised Binx Jaguars don't actually pick up the Osiris here. I'm not gonna BM you because you were in the comms for that one, Batu. But really good play from Free Range Chickens. They said this pick is still available to us. Let's just grab this pressure pick. We'll stick it in jungle. We'll stick it in solo, and it's just gonna run it down at the back line here. And another god that does well into Cupid of just being able to, with a CC and ultimate of just leaping forward, and as well as just the tether as well. Just going to slow this Cupid down, as well as against the RDO. Not a terrible matchup in the soul lane. We didn't really discuss it. We briefly discussed it after the first game. The RDO, we didn't see it picked or banned at all. A god we've seen a lot now as of late, and second pick overall for this team.
Yeah, second pick, Ardia. We kind of now get to see her flex her muscles here, but something that May is making a return, looks like, is that Fenrir being locked in here by Binx Jaguars. Still, tactically, could have some flex potential, already being that solo lane pick, but interesting to see if we're going to see that still in the jungle, because I think we were in agreement there. It was very strong in that first game.
I agree completely, yeah. It'll be interesting to see what's picked or banned away here by way of Free Range Chickens. Obviously, I think the Fenrir did really well, but it was the Fenrir as well as the gods like Cerberus who were just able to go in, force the beats. You do have that luxury a little bit with the Cupid now as your ADC pick, but Cupid's doesn't exactly fit the same style as Cerberus when it comes to forcing beats. Cupid's more waiting to force beats when they engage on you. Just kind of waiting doesn't feel like a great engage opportunity out of Cupid. You kind of have to. I think there needs to be another pick here out of Binx Jaguars to get that sort of those beads off and those beads forcing.
Yeah, a little bit of the pick, but now as we get in those bans, could see a little bit of pressure here as we still do have that room here. Again, Fenrir could be going in the support or into that jungle, so we still have that flex potential of another Cerberus-esque pick, but as these bans have come through, Giannis this time banned away along with that Erlang Shen, so Cthulhu open here. But the other side, Baba Yaga again banned, and interestingly enough, a Zhonghui. How do you feel about him in the current meta, especially with making as this draft makes it look that would be a mid lane pick?
I wouldn't hate it here for Binx Jaguars. I think that's actually a really smart ban because Zhonghui can potentially just kind of play that sort of run it style from the way of the mid lane. So interesting to see. I don't think he's in as good as he could be. I think for a while now we were falling into a sort of a Zhonghui trap where people would just like pick this god and they would say, oh, this god's really good, and then this god was not very good and he would die over and over and over and over again. Here I don't mind the ban. The Yaga ban definitely more intrigues me because that's another god with a long range artillery spells and whatnot, so don't mind that ban. The Zhonghui ban still a little interesting.
Well, you mentioned it. I actually think you mentioned it briefly. We do have that another artillery mage, not last picked here, but the Ra. Personally, I don't know how he is into the Osiris. I know he's got that slow mini in the too, but Osiris does get that movement speed as well, so he's able to kind of keep up. How is that kind of matchup? Because I feel like if this Osiris is either jungle or solo, that's really going to be the one pressuring out this Ra.
Yeah, the Osiris, he does really well into a lot of what Binx has so far. I think it's 100% anti-heal as well as the ultimate. Ra, usually you're kind of playing to kite through the fight on the heal, and you're not going to be able to really do that here this game if you have an Osiris that's just kind of running it down at you. So it's a big we'll see how he's able to kite these fights, play through these fights, and survive. With an RDO Fenrir, it's not going to be the end of the world. You do have some solid appeal here, but you're not really going to be able to peel an Achilles that's going to be running it down at you and executing you. So we'll see.
Yeah, a lot of pressure onto this Ra, like you mentioned. That double warrior, as well as this Geb, getting to that late game like he did last time, despite it being a very shorter game, just with, I think, a lot of being at that build he went, helping him to farm it out. And then you've now got this Soul where Ra kind of can be kind of close and kiting nearby you outside that ultimate, but Soul loves being up close. Let me just drop my ult right here, knock up everybody, and just do way more damage than I think should be allowed. Really, I kind of like this free range chicken roster better than the first game.
I agree. I like this draft way better than their first game draft. I mean, Osiris is Inami top 2. The game feels really good after that. Okay then.
All right.
If this gets locked in, I don't know. Oh, okay.
So I think this is gonna be a
well, you know,
jungle.
You know where it goes.
No. You gotta act the immersion. You give them the immersion.
Yeah. Okay.
Immersion.
I mean, okay.
I think this is a Morgan jungle because right now the only one you're putting in that support is Fenrir, unless you're gonna put the Morgan solo.
Ardio support, Fenrir jungle, Morgan solo.
That seems kind of disrespectful in that last game, going from the Osiris and then to the Morgan. I don't know.
I mean, in theory, Morgan's goal is to literally lane clear. She'll get the first blue, so she's got her CDs, her mana. Just kind of play for those late game teamfight assassins. You're turning into someone else. Turn to the Fenrir, and that's another Beats Force, actually, funny enough.
Yeah, it could be. Definitely interesting here. Definitely a surprising draft, to say the least. What are your kind of thoughts as far as the whole as we see this Geb again? So I know we have some thoughts after kind of the one-sided. But on the other side, this Morgan seems to be the kind of question mark you and I both have.
I agree. The Morgan definitely is going to be the question mark for me, as well as kind of where everything is going to slot for Binx Jaguars. I think free-range chickens have the better draft in terms of just pressuring early, which is exactly what I think they needed, especially last game where they kind of got smoked early. This game, they are in a much better position to kind of take that early game, hopefully push a lead, and then if it gets to the late game from Binx Jaguars, I think it's over, and if they snowball off of it. So we'll just kind of have to wait and see what happens.
Well, free-range chickens, can they get that bigger early game, or are these Jaguars going to pounce and have a nice meal? Akira, Argent, take it away.
Thank you so much, King Batu and Spirited Book. Akira Ragnus and Argent Surge bringing you Game 2 of Free Range Chickens versus Binx Gaming. Binx Gaming were able to take a relatively one-sided victory in Game 1. Now, normally here's where I would ask you, what do you think of this Morrigan jungle? What do you think of these drafts? But there's only one question on my mind, Argent Surge. What do you think of Mannequin's Geb support?
God, I hadn't looked down. I didn't want to. I was scared. I knew what the answer was going to be, but I really wanted to delay the inevitable. Okay, I mean, silver linings here. Last game, the Geb heavily outfarmed the Cerberus. Now he's up against the Fenrir. About the same amount of clear on the Cerb and the Fenrir in support. So, do we see Raid Boss get another level lead here? If so, I think that'll be good for him. And clearly already getting a level lead as they're already, pushing in the mid lane or in the dual lane here. But I'm worried. I'm concerned for how this Geb is going to make an impact. 'Cause I didn't feel much impact last game. However, looking at the rest of the team around the Geb, you have the Achilles for the execute. You have Osiris in the jungle, who's currently debatably one of the best junglers in that role. The Soul and the Izanami had an insane amount of burn and pressure. I think free-range chickens can work around this Geb.
You think so? Okay, well, we'll have to see. But now we'll go down the list of the other questions. What do you think about this Morgan jungle pick, especially with that Mannequin's pickup as the starter?
I mean, if I'm playing Morgan in the jungle here, I'm switching into Achilles or Osiris every fight. Osiris just has the insane amount of presence. You can't ignore him in these fights. And it's kind of similar with Achilles. Achilles allows that execute. If Binx is having trouble finding those last blows, I mean, the Geb shield isn't going to cleanse and execute. Nothing you can do to stop that. So I think that those are probably your two priority targets. Otherwise, if you're playing the actual Morrigan, you're just farming till 20 where you can get your Polynomicon online and get your build up so you can start actually assassinating as the Morrigan.
Okay, well, we'll have to see if Morgan has that time to farm. Relatively uneventful so far relative to the first game. There was a lot more, at least in my memory, a lot more poking out going on early in the last game. Maybe I'm wrong. Here comes the first gank of the game. Binx Gaming, Morgan stun is good onto the Achilles. The Ardios is able to finish JKT off, but here comes Osiris for the return kill. Giraffe Anatomy not going to be denied and takes the return kill onto Nyx Ardio. 1-1, first blood going to Binx Gaming.
That was a really good reaction from the Osiris coming in and getting the kill, as we see actually some mid trading going on. The healing coming on both sides, though, not going to really have anything happen there. But yeah, having the Osiris come in late and picking up the kill on the RDO after the first blood gives a bit more of a bounty. This is where I'm really nervous about who's going to win this mid-fight right now.
Disapparate. It's enough.
Oh, okay, Soul has the better heal at low HP than the Ra.
That'll get him. The invade is good, but the Osiris dies for it, and now comes the return kill from Achilles onto Morgan. A lot of trading and aggression here in the Soul lane.
Yeah, this is really a lot of pressure that they're just putting on this Ardu here. You don't want the Ardu to feel comfortable in. If you in any way can put her behind, that you're just delaying her impact on the rest of the map because she is a commanding force currently. Her cooldowns just got lowered. Overall, her items have been buffed. Guardians have been better in solo lane recently than Warriors. She's a force to be reckoned with, and if you can put her down in any way, shape, or form, that's what you have to do. And they're already doing a good job with invading the blue buffs. Got a kill on him. So far, the trading's pretty even on the right side of the map, but Achilles still pulling ahead with a slight level lead.
Yeah, I wonder if that's off of that blue buff invade that did actually go the way of Free Range Chickens. Gab getting aggressive here in the middle. Gab ult down, gets the beads out of Ra. Supernova out of Soul. Is there? Is it just enough? Not quite enough. Fenrir back onto the Gab. Gab shield is good. Ra snipe misses. Ragnarok down. Fallen Legend in a spot of bother here, but the separate might just be enough.
Oh, the rotation from Achilles.
Oh, Giraffe Anatomy gets one. Will Achilles get the return onto King Batu? He does. Excuse me, not the return, but the tower does get the one return kill back onto Achilles. Credit does go to the players, but a much more even game this time. I think, did Free Range Chickens have 4 kills all of last game?
I think somewhere in that range, like 4 to 6 range, I think. But, I mean, already they're showing a lot more ability to rotate and group up there. The Achilles rotating all the way from solo, getting a big impact in on that fight, as we see the Osiris also now looking potentially for the Cupid. Heart Bomb's going to go awry. I think if I'm Cupid, I'm just running here.
Yeah, I think this purple buff invade might be good since Izanami's here to back up the Osiris, but Fenrir is looking there. King Batu, will he make it in time? No, the purple is stripped away, and it looks like a disengage from Free Range Chickens.
You know, I did notice one thing, though, during that last fight. Ra, ending up surviving that entire fight, he got out with 1 HP away from the Geb. If the Geb hit an auto, I think the mannequins would have ticked him to death. And I would have lost it. I would have had to hang up my headphones. I wouldn't have been able to do this anymore if that was the case.
Well, hold on to those headphones because we may still see something. But King Batu blinks in. The jump is no good, and the Heart Bomb stun... I think it actually did stun the Izanami, but the Izanami's already under tower. So Waddle XP getting away with that one. But Raid Boss is not content, going in on Zixus with Giraffe Anthony. I don't know if... Yeah, Zixus is down, but the King Batu's ult holds Giraffe Anthony in place, and the Ra snipe is good. King Batu's brutalized onto Waddle, pushes him back out. And now,
yeah, and like I was saying before with the Osiris, like that's why he's such a strong pick. Sure, he dies there, but his ability to just walk in on 3 people with his ultimate makes his passive immediately go to full, and as soon as he pops 3, he's not taking any damage. He can sit there whacking you for 4 or 5 seconds while you and your team dump your entire kits on him. He's not going to go down easily, and with that amount of innate tankiness, even though he just has the Ichval now going to his 2nd bow right now, he's still a force to be reckoned with.
Like, things getting aggressive here in the solo lane. Nyx on the RDO doing serious damage to JKT's Achilles, but it does not look like Achilles will fall just at the moment unless he steps up. The ult is good as the escape. One of the better escapes in the game, I think. Joining up with Giraffe Anthony to take this blue buff. Nyx is aggressing on it, but at the same time, there's some aggression in mid lane. Nyx going for the kill onto JKT. It's close, but Giraffe Anthony turns it around. Not enough. Nyx is able to get the Achilles kill, and now Giraffe Anthony is in a big problem. But will he be able to get Nyx before he goes down? The answer is no, and that's a 2 for none for Binx. But it might be a 3.
She has the separate and makes her immune to the raw ult.
Falls out, but this just wasn't enough. That's 3 for none for Binx Gaming. And I don't know if they got the blue buff or not, but I don't think it matters. 3 for none, giving them an almost 1,500, maybe a 1,300 gold lead here.
Yeah, and that entire thing just goes off of Nyx. Like, that is Nyx's ability to realize, hey, they're going for the blue buff here, deciding to go in alone, and having the ability to not only survive, but also get a kill while being that low of HP before his teammates can rotate in and help them out. It's such a good state of mind and a good presence of mind to know that that is a play that you can make and that you're tanky enough to tank that. Really good rotation by Zixis, really good transformation into the Ra to drop the heal, kept Nyx topped off to survive the Osiris while they got him down. We see a solo kill potentially coming out. Yes!
No!
Last auto hits. Oh, I will always cheer for the death of an Izanami in a solo in a 1v1 because that character is so awful to 1v1 against.
What do you think about, as we start to get into these second and third items, we see a Pestilence coming out on the Achilles from JKT. How much more anti-heal do you think that free-range chickens will need?
Oh, a lot. I mean, Osiris, as he's getting chased down here, actually, with the Cupid ult.
Oh,
that's a lot of resources used just to kill the Osiris, though. That's 2 big team fight ultimates used. So if you're free range, you can potentially look for a counter engage unless they just allow Binx to go for the Gold Fury here.
Looks like everyone's backing off here, and as stated, Binx is forming up around the Gold Fury, but it doesn't look like they're gonna go for it.
But yeah, if you're free range chickens, you have to have more anti-heal. Cupid has healing. Fenrir has essentially lifesteal healing. Ra has healing. RDO has healing. You need to at least have another anti-heal option on your Geb because the Achilles and Geb aren't going to be together. Osiris has his ult that gives him 100% anti-heal, so he might be able to get away without building anything. Maybe like a Toxic Blade would do that, though, if he really wants to add it, but you need something from one of your carries. Probably the Soul, probably a Divine Ruin.
Okay, we'll see if Soul does build in that Divine Ruin. Geb ult coming out from Raid Boss, stunning the Ra. That looked like Ra beads to me, hard to tell on that skin. Zixis is in with a stun onto Fallen Legend. Fallen Legend getting low, but this Disapparate will probably be enough. Raph Anthony zoning, but Nyx is in the backline here as that Disapparate finishes. Nyx goes for the tower dive. Looks like Fallen Legend will get out, and now Nyx is in a bit of trouble, surrounded by free-range chickens, and Nyx will go down. That's a good counter engage from free-range chickens, in my opinion.
Yeah, Nyx came in on the back line there, calling for a, hey, I'm here now. I'm behind them. We can re-engage here. But Ra and Zixis were not really in range to help there. Ra barely even getting in range to use his snipe that ended up falling short of the mark. Fenrir was back in base. They just didn't have anything to really go off of. So while looking for something making that rotation is a really good idea, there was just the execution that was the problem. Free range chickens was able to rotate their solo laner in and have a lot more impact.
Maybe just a little bit desynced, as we were discussing last game. Comms are difficult, and reacting to comms is difficult, especially since, as we said, your ranked games train you to basically ignore every single person on your team because they're probably a sociopath who doesn't know how to play fight. But as we get back into the game, there we go. Raid Boss using that Mannequin's clear potential. Fallen Legend disapparating and moving up. Yeah, back under tower is a safe play there with Zixis lurking on the left. But maybe Zixis is coming in for it anyway? No. Nah, I don't think so. Not here.
If you're free range chickens here, you have to be looking for this Ra as your target. Ra is currently 4-0-1. He's going to have a giant bounty on him. If you can get that shutdown, especially before Ra backs and get his Aegis online, where he's currently the most vulnerable with his beads down, this is your number one play that you can make to get your mid lane back even in levels.
Raph Anthony ulting out Lord of the Afterlife used.
Oh no.
Cupid's ult is down. This is, I think, a bad situation. Except Izanami is able to get out. But, oh, in the meantime, well, just what you were saying. The Ra was the target. Ra beads were still down. So not much that Ra could do against the combined might of Geb and Soul. Oh no, don't back there! This stun is good from Zixis, and the stun is good from Batu. But I think the Geb's tankiness might be enough to let him get away with that one. But risky backs going down in this game.
Yeah, Giraffe Anthony also there just got a little bit too confident in himself and potentially thought there was a rotation that was going to be coming that didn't end up coming as he started a fight with 3 people staring at him and unfortunately carried the Heart Bomb stun over to his support there, which kind of just led to both of their demises as both of them are sitting there stunned and then you go into the heart field and you are just kind of dead.
Waddle made it out. But yeah.
Yeah, but it's again still that kind of like a lot of dropping ults on the targets that are CC that is really going to hurt them if they aren't careful with their positioning here.
Nick's getting low.
Able to survive. That is the Ardio difference. As Ardio, I mean, she can escape a lot of different situations, especially with the Breastplate of Valor now online with the cooldown reduction that she gets from that. One thing I want to point out build-wise is that Zixus decided to go for the Karen's Coin first item over something that I used to think that a lot of Morgans would build, which is the Doom Orb. I know Doom Orb hasn't seen a lot of play recently, but I find it an interesting pickup to choose the Karen's Coin, especially post-nerf, as a first item to start building instead of getting the Doom Orb for the movement speed.
I think maybe the idea is the Karen's Coin gets stacked earlier, and we do see Zixus have 6 stacks on it, so maybe that's the reasoning there. Geb ult coming out here, pushing the Batu back. Batu's Ragnarok picks up the Geb and brings him back. Raid Boss in the middle of 3, but that Geb tankiness is huge, just rolling out. Now CC immune, and see you later. Even getting the knockup back onto Nyx. Oh, but the snipe is enough. Taking down Raid Boss, and Bones getting another solo onto Waddle over in the duo lane. This looks like Gold Fury for Binx.
That was a very good freehand snipe from Kid Slim there, catching the Geb as he's walking back into safety. And on the other side, I mean, Cupid getting a solo cut on Izanami, you're doing exactly what you want to do as an ADC to keep Izanami down, make sure you can't split, as Cyrus potentially able to cannot contest that. Now potentially running with his life here. Does get out using his ult.
Yeah, another defensive Lord of the Afterlife. We'll see if if Free-Range Chickens is able to establish the pressure to let Osiris use that offensively. Nyx going for another tower dive here onto JKT under the T1 in mid instead of in solo. But again, not much kill potential there. And now Binx have once again established a lead here, almost 3K. What do you think that Free-Range Chickens have to do to get back into this?
Currently, they have to shut down the Cupid. The Cupid's just as big as the Raw is. Currently 2-0-3, has a huge bounty. If they can collect that in some way, that'll be a huge boon. Whoever gets the kill credit for it. Kid Slim has been mostly, honestly, left unattended by his support for most of this game, as we see there is actually still a 2-level differential in lead for the Geb over the Fenrir. So we were talking earlier about Farm isn't coming in as another solo kill potentially coming out. And he does catch it. Well, what a prediction on where exactly he was going to be there.
It's a good shot. It's a good shot.
Yeah. I mean, but yeah, like we were saying though, with just the leads that their carries have, they have to find a way to shut them down. And this Geb is going to be a pretty integral part of that.
Oh, Ragnarok from Batu cleansed by the Geb shield. And the Geb ult not looking to get anything?
I mean, that was a good idea. If Fenrir didn't jump out of it, he would have been stunned under the tower, taking a % health damage there and potentially causing the tower to get the kill. But Raid Boss is now suffering, getting chased down. I don't think he's going to die here unless they commit way too much for him.
Oh, the Rust Snipe is good, and I believe Raid Boss is down. That's a good rotation out of Binx Gaming. As you said, a lot committed onto the Geb there. But I don't know if Free-Range Chickens are in a position where they can answer back in the current moment.
No, and Zixus is playing very aggressive into an Achilles Osiris. But even though Binx is using a lot of ultimates to kill the Geb, I'm not seeing a lot come out of it by Free-Range Chickens like you were saying. There's no real taking advantage of these being down, as the next getting caught way out of position there and getting punished for it heavily, as now Free-Range Chickens going to have to search forward.
The fight is split up a little bit here. Binx do have the numbers advantage over here on the right if they do choose to collapse to the right or the left, since now Free-Range Chickens are split up. But it looks like it's a disengage from Free-Range Chickens as Achilles and Osiris forgoing the Pyromancer. King Batu's Ragnarok not getting anything this time. And I believe this will be a reset. We do see a Cursed On coming out of Nyx on Ardio. No. Oh, here comes the Heart Bomb onto JKT. Will the stun go off? It was not fully stacked. King Batu chasing JKT down. JKT Blink gets him out of trouble. But now Zixus is in trouble. Giraffe Anthony getting the kill on him. King Batu into 2. Stunned by the Geb up. Knocked up. Jumping out of trouble. Kid Slim is there to try and stop him. Batu goes down. Now it's a 2v2. Bones is here, though, taking down Giraffe Anthony. The snipe from Kid Slim not necessary, and Raid Boss has reached the CC level of his rollout and is able to get out. A 2-for-1 for Binx Gaming. So
that
what-
really turned into just. I mean, Free Range Chickens had advantage, and then they lost the advantage, but they still tried to fight, and it got really messy. But the second that Bones rotates in, you have to get out of Free Range Chickens. That is a level 18 Cupid at 17 minutes in the game, all about 16 minutes at the time of that fight. He has his Rage online. He's going to be hitting so much harder than you can possibly tank with your now finished Pythags piece Geb. And Osiris, his build is very much auto attack focused and not tanky at all. Ooh, we see a bit of engagement on the Izanami here.
Oh, but I think the stealth is good. Yeah, the stealth is enough to get Waddle out of trouble, and Waddle going for the crit build this time, matching the crit out of Cupid. But all in all, a much more even game than we saw last time. It's only about a 3K lead, maybe a little bit higher for Binx Gaming, but not the sort of commanding presence they had everywhere on the map last game.
And that's what's really interesting to me, because Binx has had every opportunity to just push a lead here. Most of these fights that Free Range Chickens are starting, Binx Gaming is getting more of the advantage out of. Now that the Osiris has the Odibo completed, he's going to be hitting a lot harder in these fights. Ooh. Speaking of getting hard,
Bones gets put down by the Soul. Raid Boss takes him down 1. But Nyx takes down Fallen Legend. Batu jumps out. But this looks like a bad fight for Binx Gaming if they are not able to disengage here. JKT chasing down Kid Slim on that Raw. Meanwhile, the fight continues in mid, and it looks like Nyx will also go down. Waddle pushing. And that's actually the second fight in the row where it looks like Free Range Chickens have come out ahead.
Yeah, that's what they needed to do. They killed Bones right at the start of that fight. I think there was a Soul Ultimate trading her life to kill the Cupid there. Made it so Cupid died with his ultimate up, so there was no good teamfight presence anymore for Binx Gaming. Zixus gets caught out as well, can't use the transform to turn into Cupid or offer any more teamfight ults. So even just having the Geb Soul matchup into any teamfight, they're going to get the advantage and get the Fire Giant now.
And that's huge for Free Range Chickens, because not only did they get the Fire Giant, but as a result of all that fighting, they've cut the lead to maybe about 500 gold, which at this point is basically even.
Yeah, and Soul now is 2 levels ahead of the mid laner because she got the bounty credit for that 5-0 Cupid. So if you're Raw, you're concerned suddenly because the lead that you had, you started off 4-0, and now, though you're still having a good slash on 5-1, this Soul's a 2-level lead on you. And she's going to be hitting so much harder than you possibly can more consistently just because of the rate of damage that their abilities come out as.
Yeah, that is definitely concerning for the Raw, though I do want to ask you about the anti-heal situation, since we do see all the relics finished. We mentioned that Free Range Chickens would need to be stacking a whole bunch of it, but I only see a Pestilence and a Divine Ruin. Is that cause for concern?
I mean, it would be if Binx took these fights slower. They're playing fast and hard with a lot of these fights, and that's not really what Raw and Cupid are good for. They're good at strong initiation off the Fenrir, burst them down with abilities, and then back off, heal back up, re-engage. Because they're getting caught in these extended fights that aren't actually allowing them to take a break at all, their healing isn't going to be as much of a factor. So just having the Pestilence is having a big impact for them.
T1 tower going down quickly, and Giraffe Anatomy pushing deep into Binx Gaming's territory, but now that Binx Gaming has lined up, now Achilles JKT is in trouble, beadsing to get out, but that wasn't a fully stacked heart bomb, so I'm not sure exactly the value of the beads there. But it does look like both teams have fully lined up here around the T2 and solo. King Batu ult onto JKT. Right around Raybos blinked in and ults as well. The Cupid Heartfield is down. Zixus goes down. The execute from Achilles is not good enough. The snipe is good, but not enough. King Batu goes down as well. Bones does take down Giraffe Anatomy in return, but the tower goes down. And now it's a 4v3, 3 members strong with Fire Giant on Free Range Chickens. And they choose to back off instead of push for the Phoenix.
If you're King Batu there, that fight feels so bad for you because you pick up the Achilles in your Ragnarok and you drop in front of your team and he just immediately executes one of your carries. That's solely kind of on your shoulders because he was so far outside of that fight and he got dragged in by your actions. That really has to make you think carefully about who you're pulling into your team because you can't be pulling in these frontliners. They have so much tankiness right now that your team's not going to kill them, and they're just opening the doorway for Free Range Chickens to swing back.
Now, we did mention that Geb not known for auto attack prowess, but maybe a little bit of attack speed out of Shoguns turns that mannequins into a value item. What do you think?
I despise that he is currently 5 levels up. That is really bad if you're Batu, because I mean, yes, he's farming well. Don't get me wrong. Raid Boss is doing a lot of really good farming to give him this lead. But there also just has to be a lack of farming from King Batu to have him be so far down in XP. That this is an unparalleled XP difference that though it's only been seen in the duel lane from last game when it was, you know, an 8-0 Izanami beating up a poor Rama under his T2.
Yeah, much more even game this time. And Free Range Chickens have established their own gold lead now. The other thing I wanted to ask you about was... sorry, hold that thought. No big engagement coming out there. But do you think that Free Range Chickens should be playing it slow here, or should they be trying to push things down with the remainder of this Fire Giant time?
What Free Range Chickens is doing right now their soul doesn't have Fire Giant. That's one of your big tower damage. Izanami does have the Fire Giant, so that can be pushed, but I would have just gone for T2s and backed up for next Fire. Right now, they need to be playing fast on these engagements. The faster they get in and dive onto Binx Gaming, the less time they have to react and back up and heal. So they're very quick-paced, lightning-fast attacks are going very well for them so far in this game.
Okay. Yeah, and to your point about Batu dragging in the Achilles, anyone with a pluck like a Sobek or a Sylvanas grab, you do have to be careful about the target selection there, because you don't want to bring in some big CC on your team, or an execute in this case. The Fire Giant about to respawn here. We'll see how these two teams decide to go for it. The ward coverage over there around the Fire Giant definitely favoring Binx Gaming, though there is one deep ward for Free Range Chickens in Binx Gaming's in jungle. And Giraffe Anatomy way deep here, 1v1ing Bones, and Nyx is here to turn it into not quite a 1v1. It looks like Binx Gaming is going to collapse on Giraffe Anatomy. The defensive ward of the Afterlife comes out. JKT's in the middle of everyone. King Batu drags Giraffe Anthony away. Cupid's Fields of Love are down, but the Achilles execute is good as the escape. He's low. Still aggressing against the Cupid. I don't know about that. Fallen Legend takes down Nyx, and Kid Slim takes down Giraffe Anthony. Cupid taking down the Achilles, and Zixus is getting low here. It looks like, oh no, the Heart Bomb is good. Getting a big stun, slowing things down a little bit, but not quite enough. Now Binx Gaming 4v3 with the Fire Giant up and the superior ward coverage, though. Raid Boss not content to stop. No. He's going after Zixus. Zixus blink is enough to save the Morrigan's life, and Raid Boss peels off. But it doesn't look like Binx Gaming is immediately pressing this advantage, content to reset a little bit here.
Yeah, that was a very messy fight on both sides. I mean, Giraffe Anatomy goes really far behind, the widest gank I've ever seen in my life, coming in super far in the back. But because he's pushing waves, he gets spotted out. Binx turns around and tries to kill him, but they don't have any type of safety net. So Free Range Chickens gets to push in from behind where they were running. Osiris gets to ult over to there, be safe. And suddenly Binx splits off where their carries are and rights are on the solo side, and their tanks are in mid lane. So Free Range Chickens kind of has a center point on the Binx Gaming speed buff and can kind of push out from there for that fight. Binx really needs to start grouping up more if they really want to take advantage of what all of their kits have to offer here.
Well, it seems like they're following your advice here. Binx, all 5 members over here around the Fire Giant pit. Huge ward coverage, though not much super deep into the Free Range Chickens jungle. And it looks like Raid Boss is a little bit out of position, though this grouping is spotted out. King Batu picking up JKT in that ult, but there's no follow-up. JKT using his own ult just to get out of trouble, just in case. Though there was, as I said, no follow-up. And now it looks like Free Range Chickens pushing into the Fire Giant pit.
Yeah, if you're Binx Gaming, you want to push the advantage here. You just got rid of the main execute ability, but they're just kind of letting Raid Boss zone their entire team out as Free Range Chickens is burning the Fire Giant.
Oh, and Binx Gaming does take it away! Oh no! Oh no! Bones take down Fallen Legend! The Lord of the Afterlife is in onto 2 or 3, but I'm not sure it's enough. The Cupid Fields of Love are down, not getting a single kill in return. Raid Boss pushed out, and it looks like this is tragic for the Free Range Chickens, because now Raid Boss is surrounded, CC'd, and that's the end of Geb. 3 for none, and a Fire Giant in favor of Binx Gaming. A very slight gold lead, but at this point, that's not the important thing. The important thing is that 5-strong team with Fire Giant pushing out your T2 with only 2 to defend.
This is where the issue with this Osiris build comes in. Osiris went for very much a squishy, auto-attack focused. Granted, the Talisman of Energy at the very end gives him a little bit of tankiness, but overall, he's not that tanky. And so he can't tank the Fire Giant right now. So you need to have the Achilles back there. But since Osiris, again, has so much attack speed, you want him hitting the Fire Giant. They don't have anyone to defend besides the Geb or zone out at all. So the Geb hits a 3-man ultimate, but Bones and Zerk and Zixus are allowed to just walk around the sides and contest that. And they don't have any confirmed that can contest the Field of Hearts except for the Soul ultimate. I guess that timing just didn't work out for him.
Yeah, a bit unfortunate for the free-range chickens as Binx Gaming goes to that Primal Fury after stripping away basically every tower on the map. Only that T2 on the duo side remaining for free-range chickens. And Binx Gaming gonna back by, and then we'll see where they go from here. Some kind of big push probably coming out soon. 4,000 gold in hand for Bones on the Cupid. That's gonna be, yep, that's full build on the Cupid, selling the Ichabod.
Yeah, there goes the Kins. I think that's a really good pickup, especially seeing that Osiris did, in fact, pick up Talisman of Energy. A lot of Achilles' build is health-based, similar with Geb. Geb doesn't even have a Spectral, but with his passive does reduce the crit amount done by the Cupid, so picking up the Kin size allows his DPS on the tanks to still remain high without losing any of the benefit he gets from hitting the squishies.
What do you think about this relic pickup from the Geb, the Med Cloak? Do you think that the Geb is seeing value out of it?
I think meditation works in its best, which isn't that great right now if you're playing slow with a team. When you're playing this very, again, fast-paced style that Free Range Chickens has done all games, we see the two teams clashing in the jungle now.
Blinken, Geb, ult, not getting much value out of it. King Batu picks up Giraffe Anatomy and takes him out of the fight. Fields of Love down, Cursed Ankh applied. Bones is able to take down Waddle, and then Raid Boss. And it looks like this is going terribly for Free Range Chicken, but Giraffe Anthony is able to get the turnaround onto Bones as the fight continues. Kid Slim looking very low. The snipe coming out does not get any kills for it. Giraffe Anthony taking down Kid Slim. Nick's taking down Fallen in return. King Batu taking down Giraffe Anthony. And Zix is taking down JKT, meaning that it's a 2 for 5. The DSI for Binx Gaming. 3 members with Fire Giant. Is this the end?
Nah, this is probably a Phoenix at best. They lost Bones there and Raw. They lost a lot of their main structure damage. So you see just how slowly this T2 is even going down right now. What happened that caused Bones to die there was both Batu and Nyx pushed forward on the aggressive to dive onto the backline, while the entirety of their own backline was getting dove on by the Osiris and Achilles, and with 0 peel, Bones just had to sit there and get beat down.
Just as you said, one single Phoenix, and it looks like Binx will be disengaging here as Waddle and Raid Boss have respawned. But that is the most valuable Phoenix on the map. So, and as Fire Giant buff is ending any second now, if it's not already gone. Yeah, there it is. Now it all comes back down to that Fire Giant dance, except Binx Gaming has a 9,000 gold lead.
Yeah, and one thing we didn't really talk about too much is that Giraffe Autonomy here. Sorry, Anatomy. Wait.
Anatomy.
Hold on. Anatomy. Thank you. Yeah. I can't speak English. It's fine.
No, it's hard.
This game's wild. It's 30 minutes in. Geb's build's wild. It's throwing me off. I don't know what to do anymore. But he built the Sunder here. And the interesting thing with the Sunder is that when he's not getting peeled off of the carries, he can just Sunder and then auto attack people down. But Bones disappeared in that last fight when Giraffe was hitting him because just the amount of attack speed. Now the Mannequin Mace online, going over the hidden dagger, which is a very interesting pickup, but good for how he's playing the Osiris right now. Somebody needs to peel him off. Otherwise, the Osiris are going to continue to get these trades for their backline.
So now here's my question to you. Is Geb selling that Mannequins, or is that going to be... Oh, sorry, hold that thought. Lord of the Afterlife coming out. Defensively
really
gets Anatomy out of trouble, and Batu's Ragnarok in addition. But yeah, my question is that Mannequins getting sold, or is it becoming a Mace or a Hidden Blade?
If it's a Hidden Blade, I will respect it. But I think that's the only option. You can't go the Mace on the Geb. There's no point. It's not going to get any value. If you get the Hidden Blade, I can respect it. Still strange. I think you should sell and get something else here, as Fire Giant is getting currently burned down by
low.
Binx.
Raid Boss is the one in the pit now.
Oh no,
Takes
Bones
down
is
Bones.
dead.
No,
drop it, they get it.
Free-range Chickens getting to the EFG, even as Fire Minions are going into their base. They're taking this fight. Zixus is down, Bones is down. That's huge for Free-range Chickens. And now it's a base race. It looks like Binx Gaming versus, Free-range Chickens versus the Fire Minions. King Batu zoned out. 5 chasing down Kid Slim and Nyx here. And those Fire Minions are, slowly burning down that Titan, but this Phoenix is not burning slowly, it's burning quickly. 5 for Free-range Chickens with the Enhanced Fire Giant marching into the throne room. Who's gonna win here? It's with anyone's game at this point. It's a delay.
Minions can't do it. They're game delayed by the new minion wave. This is going to be Free-range Chickens if they keep up the DPS.
They're pushing it. Take down Kid Slim, and they will be going to a game 3 here. Huge turnaround around that Fire Giant. And we will be shortly bringing you to game 3 after a break. After that barn burner of a game 2.
Welcome back, everybody. Thank you again with your patience through these breaks. And a wild game, too. Couple objective steals, not one, but two going each way. And fortunately for Binx Jaguars, it does mean that free range chickens are able to equal this out. And Spirited Book, you're already shaking your head. You already have some things you want to say.
I don't know, man. I don't want to say the boys trolled, but the boys kind of trolled. Binx Jaguars, all they needed to do, hop off the FG. You have the sustain. You have Cupid. You have Raw, some of the best sustainers. I don't know, man. Just wait for that left-hand Phoenix to push in, and the game's free. But at the end of the day, Binx Jaguars had a really good early game. I think for this game 3, all they need to do is clean up their late game a little bit, and this game is definitely going to go their way. Free range chickens, on the other hand, had a really good game too, with that Izanami Osiris. Izanami did get diffed a little bit by the Cupid. He had a great game yet again, the ADC for Binx Jaguars. So, I mean, it is kind of unlucky. I think that guy needs another matchup yet again. Names are escaping me at this point for both ADCs. But I think if you just change the matchup again, you just try to run something back, or you could run back the Izanami. Late game, he was hitting really, really hard, so I don't mind that idea.
Yeah, some picks there especially, but yeah, Binx Jaguar just a little bit fumbled there on that objective. I can definitely understand after game 1 like that, where you get a quick win, you're winning again the second game. Let's just get this FG. We already stole it, and then kind of trip over your own feet. But we'll go ahead and jump into these picks and bans for game 3. Binx Jaguar, after losing that second one, do get that first pick, so we might see a little bit as far as different picks and bans here, but something that you kind of already touched on. Maybe not want to see that Izanami and Osiris, who both really put in work in that late game.
Yeah, I would like to see a small change up in either getting one of those picks or banning one of those picks, just because Binx Jaguars, they are looking for that top pick. You do have to get something here. However, if they're able to get, one of these top picks, obviously Tiamat, Persephone, both banned away, Gilga, Odin, gone as well. If they are able to get one of those top picks that are just above Izanami Osiris, I would like to see them lean more towards that pick instead. We'll just kind of have to wait and see as these bans goes through. Artemis, I don't hate it. I think these bans are interesting just because it tells the style of play Binx Jaguars are looking to play, as opposed to going for that late game. They're looking to play more mid to early instead of taking it late with the Artemis. Artemis needs a hot minute to farm it up to get those items that she can solo carry the game with. So definitely tells the style of play Binx are playing with their ADC.
Yeah, interesting to see the Artemis. You have the first pick. Bones has had a really good game 1 and 2, even despite getting a little bit run down, just kind of with some of the matchups in that second game. But really would be interesting having that first pick, maybe trying to pick him something here, but they apparently have a pick that they want to get aside from that. Morgan Le Fay being that last ban. Curious to see where they go. And they are going to hover this Athena. We've kind of seen her falling out of the meta. Spirit, but what's your opinion on Athena in the current meta?
I think she's really easy to blow up and kill as a support right now. She only has that dash for an escape, and it's really easy to block. So I do think she's really easy to go in the insta hover. Okay. Athena's not terrible here.
Okay, so not give Iza and Osiris.
Yeah.
I'll erase that one real quick. Your second point, though.
Hang on, I got the notes. I got the notes. The notes here. They say is Osai question mark. Yeah, okay. The Cupid lock in yet again. I think this time it's a little better actually, with an Athena to follow up if they do lock this in, and they do. I like this comp a little better in comparison to last game for Binx Jaguars with this pick. Bones, as you mentioned, had a fantastic game in this matchup, getting more solo kills onto the enemy ADC Izanami, and the Nike as well. Definitely a change up in the solo lane for that.
Yeah, I'm kind of a little bit higher on Nike right now, just with some of the items in the game. Obviously, late game, you're getting 3,000 plus health out of that solo lane in your support. And when you have items like Bulwark, that shield that's going to do 50% of your health, ladies and gentlemen, yeah, that's why Nike Shield is so big, because it's a free half of your health bar. And just the kind of thing, I think she's great, and especially when a guy like Izanami that is really around those auto attacks. You have the disarm, you have the block shield that not only works against Izanami, but Osiris. Maybe not necessarily a counter pick to those two, especially this level. There's a lot more of those comfort picks, but when you have those kind of style of picks, it's not that... I really like Nike so far.
I've enjoyed her actually more in jungle. It'll be interesting to see where she gets slotted here in this Binx Jaguars composition. I imagine Athena's probably going to go to the Batu yet again. It was interesting to see it banned by you guys every game, but going back to the Nike pick, I actually prefer to see her more in that jungle position, just to kind of be that beefy warrior jungle that can try and match the pressure that Osiris brings in the jungle. So just those two clashing it out. I don't mind that idea. Soul Band, and I like this from Binx Jaguars, getting rid of that double hunter that they struggled with against last time. We didn't really touch on it much, but they did lock double hunter without a Fafnir.
Yeah, but Soul kind of being a little bit more of that kind of magical burst, and I'm sure we saw a couple of those team fights, Soul just absolutely deleting so many people with that ult. So good on Binx Jaguar, recognizing kind of what was a little bit messy for their kind of run it down style comp they had. Free range chickens also banning a couple mages as well with the Raijin and the Baba Yaga, so both seem to have their picks kind of in mind. The Raw, though, I don't know if we want to see that run back by the Jaguars. Didn't really, while had some good ults early game, didn't really late game get to do a whole lot, getting run down by an Achilles and an Osiris.
Yeah, I agree, and interesting to see that Fenrir is not picked or banned as of yet. Last time, both games so far, we've seen it from Binx Jaguar being slotted in that support role game 2, jungle game 1. This time it's the Achilles hover yet again, and it's looking like a salty run back so far from the free range chickens. Oh no, not at all.
Okay, I'm looking to lock maybe in the mid lane pick. Okay, no, they go back to that
it's
Achilles, so it's going to be a run back here with that. But yeah, so far, complete run back by the free range chickens. Unfortunately, they're going to have to go with a different mid, as that Soul was banned, so not going to be 100%, but when
Not
Soul,
100%.
you've got a burst damage mage, there's still a lot of those open. Scylla still open. Poseidon, another one that we like to see a lot at this level. So you have a lot of follow-up mages that can still be picked. Even that Kronos, which could still be picked here as well. Does look like one of those big burst mages, though, is going to be taken away as they hover this Nemesis and the Scylla.
I was going to actually say Scylla would be a really great pick here for free range chickens, just with all the setup and frontline CC they've been getting ready for their backline, especially in that last game. But I mean, Scylla on the flip side, Binx Jaguars, I think it works really well. The lack of CC on the Nemesis, I think the Nemesis pick is more questionable for me rather than the Scylla. I think, first of all, she gives me an idea. Raid Boss ran it down last game. He was just kind of in your face last game. It makes perfect sense. This Nemesis actually just kill this Geb, which I think is actually what you want to do if you're Binx Jaguar. I mean, he's gone for this mannequins build every time, which I think we all know where we stand on that. But if he's just going to be running it down at you, just get a tank shredding jungler like Nemesis, a mid laner who just locks down tanks like Geb out of Scylla. So I love these two picks actually for what they're designed to do against free range chickens.
Yeah, and I think it's really good here. I definitely get the idea with this Nemesis that on that Morgan did get run down a lot, those Cyrus. My first thought is, as a jungler, when I want to 1v1 somebody, I'm locking in Nemesis. So maybe a little bit of salt, trying to kind of, roll up the sleeves a little bit, get dirty, coming back with it. But we mentioned not wanting to see the Raw. How do you feel about free range junglers picking Rob?
I mean, it's in the name, right? Free range chickens, you gotta lock the chicken, man. Real talk though, I actually don't mind it here. It does kind of match that similar concept of Scylla of just throwing out those cooldowns, and it's actually really good here because they free range chickens, they're kind of playing this 3v3 mob style with their Osiris, Geb, Achilles just walking it down. So I really don't mind it as well because Ra is just able to throw out that heal on top of that 3v3 core that's just running it down. I keep saying running it down. That feels like I'm calling them out for inting or something, but no, real talk, I do like this idea of this Raw with the long range artillery and then the heal on top to keep these three tanks alive.
Yeah, well, with that then, I feel like you might be feeling a little bit for the free range chickens here then. Is that who you're going with, or do you think Binx Gaming still got this one in the bag?
I think if free range chickens are able to take it to late like they did last game, they take this win. If Binx get off to an early lead yet again, I don't think free range chickens has it this time. I think it's going to be Binx Gaming if they get off to an early lead.
I mean, can't argue with Geb double frontline late game, but we'll stop here and let it take it over to the cast. Is the free range chickens going to get that late game, or Binx Jaguar is going to bounce back? Casters, go ahead and
Thank you very much, King Batu and Spirited Book. Akira Ragnus and Argent Surge bring you game 3 of this, I mean, frankly, barn burner of a set in my opinion. Binx Gaming versus Free Raw Chickens. There you go. That's free one for the desk. And now I gotta ask you, Argent. This Geb, Mannequin's Geb, is 1-1 so far. You think it goes 2-1 or 1-2?
I think that swapping out the soul for the raw gives them some more objective.
Whoa.
Oh, okay.
All right. JKT getting things started early for Free Raw Chickens. Excuse me, Free Range Chickens. I'll stop. Getting first blood onto Nyx's Nike and putting them up 1-0.
So, yeah, I was going to point out after talking about the raw for the soul, the Nike pickup, which is not seen too often with the Rise in Sunder being a used relic. Last game we only saw it on the Osiris, so I don't think Geb's going to pick it up this game based on how set in his ways he seems with his builds. But the Nike Ultimate, the Sentinel Zeus, brings a lot of team fight to a team fight light comp that Binx had last game. They changed a lot of their players around. And I really like Binx's composition over Free Range Chickens here, but not if Nyx continues to get walked down by this Achilles. Achilles has really good solo pressure early on with his dashes, just allow him to poke so well into the Nike, who can't really do too much. Her main sense of clear is her Ren with her 1, and that's 3 long channeled hits. If Achilles just stuns her out of that, her entire clear is gone.
All right, well, we'll have to see how that soul lane plays out after that very early first blood. It looks like Binx Gaming is pushing up Bones and Batu in the duo lane. Raid Boss picking up his green buff and then going to join Waddle on the Izanami. Now, what do you think about giving back this Izanami Osiris top picks to Free Range Chickens?
I think that the Izanami, Izanami as a pick, yes, but I feel as though just how commanding Bones has been in the dual lane all set, even though Free Range Chickens took last game, Bones has been taking names as he almost gets a return kill on the Waddle here to make it 1-1, but I think Bones is going to be fine. I feel like Waddle really needs to adjust or get a little bit of help in the dual lane to have a big impact on the Izanami. And then with the Osiris, I like the impact the Osiris had. If King Batu on the Athena can pull the Osiris off of his backline this game and successfully peel for them, I feel as though the Osiris is going to have much less impact than he did last time, because last time he didn't even get a beads. And so if you're an Athena, you have a 2-second taunt that Osiris is getting shredded through because he's not building tanky and he's not building beads. That's just a free kill for your backline.
Well, we'll see if the Osiris does maintain that beadsless, Magi's cloakless existence. JKT getting pushed a little bit low. And that was a good rotation, by the way, earlier while we were talking, while Giraffe and Anatomy going to stop that purple buff invade and saving the purple for Waddle. Nyx jumping out, so not a lot of kill pressure coming out here as Giraffe Anatomy now goes to look for some sort of invade here. May run into Zixus in the jungle as he tries to strip away those back camps. We'll have to see. Zixus already level 5, but I don't know if that Nemesis has the mana to do it. Oh, Nyx gets the return kill onto JKT solo in the solo lane. So now 1-1. Both solo laners 1-1 and 0. Giraffe Anatomy does pick up the paltry consolation prize of those back camps.
Ooh, good engage.
But it's not enough. Fallen Legends beads are good, and the Raw will retreat back to the T1. But that does make the Raw a target for the next couple of minutes. Even more than a couple minutes, 2.5 minutes, I should say. We will see if Binx Gaming is able to capitalize on that. As you mentioned, Athena, one of the often cited as the best non-ultimate ability in the game, that taunt. Huge CC in a big cone for an extended period of time.
Yeah, and that already showed how well King Batu can catch Fallen Legends sleeping with those dash taunts. And since his beads are down, I feel like this is going to be a kill on the horizon very soon. For probably, I would hope Kid Slim gets the credit for it. And if they do get that kill credit on the Scylla and Scylla gets a lead, it's going to be really bad for Free Range Chickens because Scylla kind of hurts a lot. I don't know if you've known this, but as one of the hardest hitting abilities in the game on, let's see, her ultimate, her 2, even her Sikkim does a lot of damage, upwards of 800 at full build. So yeah, you really want to make sure she does not get that lead.
Oh, Giraffe Anthony. I'm doing it too now. Giraffe Anatomy coming in for a little bit of poke onto Bones. Cupid but we'll settle for that purple buff invade, though Batu is here to turn it around.
Ooh.
Free Range Chickens does get it. Lord of the Afterlife used defensively along with the Geb Shield, but the Sikkim plus the Defender of Olympus plus the Fields of Love all going on to Giraffe Anatomy, and I don't believe this Osiris is long for the world. Lord of the Afterlife sent to the Afterlife.
That was a lot of abilities again used for a single kill, but hey, you got to punish them. You got to let them know. If you're going to come in and steal our purple, we're going to use everything in our power to punish you for that. If you're Giraffe Anatomy, you're still kind of happy with that. You got 3 ults out of it. Yeah, you die, but you got the purple invade off. Anything that you can do to help Waddle have any sort of lead or advantage is going to be a good thing for him.
Oh, Batu with a big 2-man taunt. It's not enough follow from the Scylla just yet. But part of the reason I think that you're seeing such value out of Athena just dashing in. Oh, Waddle gets a soul kill. All the bones in the dual lane. Huge. That Izanami is now up a level. But the point I was trying to make, sorry, was if you look at the ward coverage in mid, Binx has high wards. Free range chickens have basically none at all. So no wonder the Athena is able to just dash in with impunity and get these big taunts out. Without that ward coverage, Athena, that dash may as well be a blink.
Yeah, I mean, you have to have some type of wards, and that's the biggest thing I've been noticing about free range chickens most of this set is that when it comes to ward coverage, they've been mostly lacking. They have wards here and there every once in a while, as we see one's actually on the 2 actually on the duo side, but when it comes to a lot of the majority of objective wards and stuff, Binx has shown to have the advantage on them. So if Binx can continue to use that lack of vision that free range chickens has, they can keep catching them on the sides and do something like they're doing right now to the Ra.
But Raid Boss's rollout is there to provide a little bit of body blocking and push Kid Slim back. Now, I believe Gormizer said it many times. It's some ridiculous percentage of teams, like if you ward more, you win more, basically, was what the statistics say. So there's a lesson for all of us in that. As Giraffe Anatomy takes down the Oracles, getting vision of the Gold Fury.
Wards win games. One of my favorite sayings. But 2 is getting caught out deep in the jungle trying to de-sentry. I don't think there's any way he gets out of that. No way.
2 ults expanded to take down the Athena. We'll see if it was worth it. Athena did die with ult up. Not sure if there would have been enough time to channel it anyway, though, to be honest.
Oh, no, I doubt. That was, I mean, the second she got collapsed in on, she had to have known she was dead. Maybe if she gets a very lucky dash through 3 people body blocking her, it's possible. But on a dash that stops on contact with the enemy god, I think you just have to take your lumps for that one.
Free range chickens now dropping Forp on the right-hand side, and it looks like they have pretty good, despite the sort of criticism we had earlier about their ward coverage, they do have pretty good vision of this Gold Fury, also dropping the Draugr. So I think it's only a matter of time before we start seeing teams line up here. Free range chickens also opting for that blue buff invade, stripping it away. Looks like they're pretty much in the driver's seat at this point.
It's getting close to that. They're showing a lot of map presence. The mid support level difference are the biggest ones right now, though. Waddle. We do see Binx starting to collapse in on Waddle. Gets the dash out, uses the beads, but I think the Athena, does confirm the kill off of Waddle.
3 ults down to take down Waddle. That does open up the option of the Gold Fury if Binx Gaming does opt to take it. But it looks like instead they're opting to chase down Fallen Legend in the back camps. And there may be another engagement here around the red buff. Free range chickens is here.
Ooh.
The snipe is good, but not enough. The Cataclysm from the Geb puts down Kid Slim, but still had the escape. So it looks like Binx Gaming will be able to get away with that in addition to taking that red buff.
Yeah, they did manage to get the red buff steal and get out without any casualties, which is a pretty big thing for them. But as we already kind of see, we see Giraffe starting to wander over to that purple buff invade that he's been trying to do. And Bones, so he does get the confirm, and now Giraffe's in trouble because now the purple buff's been confirmed, and Batu's there to punish him for it.
We'll see if Batu's able to bring him back for Bones. The dash is in. The taunt was no good. The Audible procs getting a little bit of value there, along with the Heart Bomb from Cupid getting the stun, but now Raid Boss and Fallen Legend are here, and it looks like Binx Gaming will be forced to retreat. Meanwhile, JKT taking down Nyx under his own tower. The tower dive not turning out well for Binx Gaming over there. And now Free Range Chickens know that Nemesis is on the right, but 2 with a 2-man stun. The big ult from Scylla dropping Giraffe Anatomy low, but the Lord of the Afterlife is even better, taking Scylla down. Bones gets the return onto Giraffe Anthony. Fall Legend Snipe is no good. Meanwhile, all this time, Free Range Chickens are burning slowly through that Gold Fury, and they do manage to take it. And oh, JKT is able to get another kill alone in solo onto Nemesis. And I do think that Free Range Chickens are starting to solidify this big lead, though maybe I'm wrong. Bones, Heart Bomb, and Fields of Love down. Waddle low, the Athena ult coming in. It won't even be necessary. Waddle is already sent back to the fountain.
Okay, I was getting really concerned because if Bones dies there, that is a death sentence on the mentals for Binx Gaming. You try to you get a gank over on solo side. Not only do you lose your solo lane, you don't kill the Achilles, and then 20 seconds later, Zixis tries to stay around and get the kill on the low HP Achilles, but the Achilles just turns around and gets the kill on the Nemesis. And in the meantime, you're losing a shoehorned in win fight at your own red buff, get your red buff invaded, your Scylla dies to the Osiris off of a beautiful ult from Giraffe, and you're losing all of the map pressure across the map now.
Oh, Raid Boss not content to do this, but he does just get the beads out of Scylla. Now Athena's here dragging them back in. Giraffe Anthony's locked in. The crush is good, and Bones is there to clean it up. Raid Boss goes down to I'm a Monster, and this is the big turnaround that Binx is looking for. Fallen Legend forced back. There's a rotation from JKT on the Achilles, but now he's in trouble. The Execute used as an escape, and it looks like Binx Gaming will be going for that Pyromancer. JKT not sure if Achilles can do anything about this.
Yep, and you know what we had there? We had an ADC that rotated Raul for a contention, though. Not just
enough.
A bit too early.
Out by the Athena.
But the Binx does make a really impactful rotation and manage to win them that fight and get them that Pyromancer. He's staying here, getting the kill on the Achilles now if he's not careful.
Nemesis ult has been applied. The Heart Bomb is good, and the credit goes to Nike. Binx with a huge turnaround here, almost eliminating the gold lead entirely. Waddle, meanwhile, quietly split pushing. Izanami, queen of the split push. But some pings going down, meaning that split push may be not too much longer, as Athena and Cupid and Scylla all rotating to Waddle. Not
Don't
sure.
breed the purple. Run for your life. Run for your life. There you go.
But Batu's not content.
Oh, surely she's not in range of the
Slim's
taunt.
coming
There's
through
no
too.
way. Okay, I think she's out.
Free Range Chickens dropped the mid T1 in the meantime, so maybe a little bit of an overcommit there from Binx Gaming onto the Izanami, taking both Scylla and Athena over there. But the gold has evened up. The tower situation is basically even. This game is back to 50-50.
Yeah, and I do want to point out now that we actually have a, well...
Oh.
No, we don't have a break in the combat as we see Raid Boss trying to contest the go. Wait, hold on. Raid Boss actually stole that Scorpion.
What's the power of the mannequins give?
Oh, no. Not the mannequins.
The power of the mannequins give.
It's too good. It's too good for him.
Oh, but Fallen Legend, no mannequins and no mystical mail in that Raw. Goes down to 3 of Binx in mid, and it looks like Free Range Chickens are starting to fall apart a little bit here.
Ooh, this might be interesting 1v1 of the Scylla versus Izanami. Izanami does have the drop on Scylla. Doesn't know that she knows that she's there.
Athena ult is there, and it's not enough.
Oh, she's running into the enemy team.
Oh, I'm not sure how that happened. That interaction had to be like frame perfect for the Athena ult to go down, but Scylla to still die. Lord of the Afterlife in. Waddle is low. Gets taken down by Zixis. And now Giraffe Anatomy is in big trouble. Zixis with the double. 2 for 1. Scylla goes down. But I'm not sure that was worth it for the Free Range Chickens over there.
I mean, you kill the Scylla, which is good. Keeping the Scylla down is always a good thing. Losing the Izanami, it sucks, but at the end of the day, I think getting that trade was worth it for her. Giraffe dying was not worth it, not a good thing. But that goes to show the power of vision that we were kind of talking about earlier. Waddle has that single normal ward on Binx Gaming's purple buff, and when Kid Slim comes over to try to contest, she's staring through the wall trying to see if the Izanami's going to show up on the minion wave. Well, Izanami's walking around behind her and gets, I think, 2 or 3 autos before Scylla even gets to turn around.
That's big. Vision is powerful. Batu chasing out Fallen Legend here. The taunt is not enough. The range on the taunt is not enough, excuse me, and Raw will go home. Meanwhile, Raid Boss, as that Geb has been doing, soloing out.
It's burning.
Soloing out these neutral objectives on the Geb with mannequins and mystical. New meta?
No, please no. I do not need to be getting all of the neutral objectives taken by Gebs in my game. I mean, to be fair, as a Geb jungle connoisseur myself, as soon as he gets his ultimate buffed here, where he's going to do actual damage along with the percent damage, I might be looking at maybe picking up a mannequins in my Geb jungle games.
Well, so long, 10 benevolence. Hello, 10 mannequins. As free range chickens are going to get that blue buff invade off, it looks like Athena ult is coming down onto Nyx, along with the Sentinel of Zeus. And meanwhile, free range chickens is taking down the Oni Fury. Lord of the Afterlife used defensively, but Batu is still on the Osiris. A lot of damage coming back from the Osiris, and he's burning slowly. But the raid boss goes down.
Ooh, what a dash in.
That's big. Free range chickens do manage to secure the Oni Fury, though they only have 2 up. JKT and Fallen Angel. Meanwhile, JKT in fighting Nyx, and it looks like Kid Slim, but it looks like this engagement is finally ended, leaving Bones to go back to farming in the left. Not sure how much value we're going to get off these Oni waves.
Overall, I think that Free Range Chickens comes out of that with the advantage. Sure, they lose 3, but they get 2 kills in return plus an Oni wave and Oni minions that they now have to deal with. But when it comes to an individual level, Bones getting a double kill there is so huge for him. It gives him a giant XP lead on the Izanami. And yeah, Bones has had an XP lead in most of these games that we've been seeing, but he's shown that he's willing to rotate that through into the team fights. So now you're going to have an even higher level Cupid now with 2 stacks on his Rage rotating into these team fights. No one has a Spectral online right now. If I'm Osiris, I'm worried. I am concerned for my well-being.
It doesn't even look like any Spectrals necessarily being... Maybe the Spectral coming out for Achilles, but the other frontliners on Free Range Chickens not quite there yet, if they are opting to go for that Spectral. And the gold lead, again, basically even as Bones walks into Raid Boss and Waddle, but will simply turn around and walk away. Not a quick collapse over there. Team's now jockeying for position. Bones going back in on Waddle, dashes in aggressively. Waddle able to simply stay back a little bit. Slow is good. Fields of Love down. Beads from Waddle, and the dash out will save the Izanami's life. Meanwhile, a fight going down around Pyromancer and Free Range Chickens do secure it. Batu taunting. The ult coming out from Nike. Will Giraffe Anatomy be able to take it out? But the monster over the wall takes down the Osiris. And now the chase is on, but Raid Boss is back in. The ult is in, knocking up the Nike, pushing Nyx back. But 2 alone against 3, but Free Range Chickens won't chase just yet. Kid Slim backing here. Bones burning down the Scorpion. Meanwhile, Waddle going through the jungle on the left side, starting that split push. But Zixus is there on the Nemesis to maybe slow it down. We'll have to see how that one develops. Blink is expended. Bones takes down the Fallen Legend. Athena comes in. Achilles is getting low, but the execute used as an escape. Meanwhile, Zixus is on to Waddle. Waddle's ult is good, but not enough. And Waddle goes down and getting the T2. Meanwhile, Raid Boss pushing the T2 on solo while Binx Gaming is going straight for the fire. Are they just going to give up the T2 and just burn fire instead?
I mean, I would. It's a Geb. What's he going to do? Push the T2 successfully? No, he has to back up here. He has to defend this Fire Giant. I mean, Binx Game made a really good play off of getting the Pyromancer stolen from under them. Fortunately here, they're just depending on the Scylla I'm a monster to secure the Fire Giant. We know this has not gone well from before.
Oh, 2 for Osiris, stripping the Fire Giant off of 2. That's Fire Giant for Binx, but immediately getting it taken off of 2 of them. Raid Boss pushing the Scylla, with the Scylla's ult is down, and Giraffe Anatomy is here, pushing under the T2. Beads, Aegis, will it be enough? It does not look like it. Binx Gaming getting the Fire Giant, but losing 3 immediately, and it looks like Giraffe Anatomy, wow, I really want to say Giraffe Anthony, will get away with his life. The minion's not doing quite enough damage.
Yeah, that's where my concern was coming in. They lost Bones, there at the tail end of that Fire Giant fight. I'm a Monster is used to secure, and that led to them not having anything to respond to the Osiris and Geb coming in. And they also just didn't have anyone zoning. Free Range Chickens just had a ward on Fire Giant that entire time. Binx Gaming couldn't be bothered to clear it, so Free Range Chickens knows when to come in, knows how low the Fire Giant is, and knows how low Binx Gaming is. And since they send no one to zone, it's a free walk-in win fight for them.
Yeah, and as you mentioned earlier, the Geb can't really push the T2 towers because I don't believe Mannequins or Mystical Mail is able to proc on structures. So maybe we're seeing the limits of the power of the Mannequins, Mystical Mail, Geb here. But now it looks like, would you say this game is even? Does either team have a specific advantage? I know Free Range is up in gold, but the Binx Gaming does have a couple of members with Fire Giant still.
Binx needs to start a 5v5. If they start a 5v5, I think they win heavily.
Oh, how about a 3v1? Fallen Legend going down. Now the Athena ult is coming down onto Kid Slim, who goes into the ultimate. Bones is low. Fields of Love are good. I'm a monster! Dropping Giraffe Anatomy low, and now that's 2 for Binx Gaming. 5 versus 3 now, and all of them are here around the Gold Fury. I think now we can safely say that Binx Gaming has a bit of a power play here, especially since the taunt is good on JKT. The cleanse out of the Geb shield is good as well. They're falling back. And now Free Range Chicken is going onto the Gold Fury?
They need to contest this. If Binx gives this up, there's zero reason for it. So it looks like they're just going to kind of let it happen unless they engage on the Visa.
Binx steals it away. Oh, and now things are turning against Free Range Chicken, so they are able to get the disengage off. But now the gold lead has been cut to basically 0. Binx still with 2 members with Fire Giant. Probably not enough to, clear all the towers or anything, but they are in a strong position for that next Fire Giant dance. Though the ward coverage on that side of the map is a little bit anemic at the moment.
Yeah, you know what Binx Gaming found out during that fight there? They taunted the Geb, and Kid Slim learned, oh, a Void Stone? That's not going to be enough to save you from I'm a Monster. I think took about half of Geb's entire HP bar with one ability there. Zilla's hitting her top form here. It's about to start swinging harder than ever. And right now with 0% pen, because frankly, when the only magical defense that Geb has is a Void Stone, you don't really need that much percent pen.
Double flat pen getting the job done. Even onto the frontliners of Free Range Chicken, so we will see what Geb builds into next. The Spectral Armor is up for the Geb, so those crits from the Cupid will be dealing a little bit less damage.
Yeah, and the Nemesis also decided to go the crit build as well, which is going to be a very interesting struggle now for both those characters. The Nemesis ult will help reduce the protections, but going to 2 carries with crit means that if the other team gets Spectral like they've had on both their frontline now, of them are going to be feeling it. Usually one person who is an auto attack character goes Kins, the other person goes crits. You can have a good split so both people can still have an effect no matter what the build is.
Oh, JKT taunted back in. A lot of damage going on, but the Achilles will survive. A couple of ults expended on both sides here. And the Defender of Olympus coming down along with the Fields of Love onto Waddle, who is isolated and put in the dirt by Bones.
That was an insane amount of burst damage coming out from the Nike jump into the Athena, into the Nike ult, into the Cupid Fields of Love.
Bones getting low, but able to ward Giraffe Anatomy off. But now Raid Boss is in trouble. The Rust Knife not quite getting enough value, and Raid Boss goes down to the Nemesis. I'm a Monster coming out. That looks like an Aegis out of Fallen. But Binx Gaming is pushing their advantage. They're out of ults, and the only ult on Free Range Chicken is Izanami, but Izanami's on the grayscale. JKT going down as well, and it looks like this is going to be a Fire Giant from Binx Gaming. That's a huge power play, 5 versus 2.
Binx has to be careful now here because this is a very similar situation they had last game where they have the advantage going into the Fire Giant spawn, and Free Range Chicken's already kind of establishing a bit of a defense here, getting Pyromancer up. Izanami's about to spawn in, so is Geb. As soon as they're up with this Pyromancer buff, they'll be able to get there very fast and contest. So if Binx does not have efficient ward coverage or zoning capabilities here, we might see a repeat of last game where they do most of the damage to the Fire Giant and Free Range Chickens just comes in, steals, and wipes them.
Yeah, we'll have to see, though. Binx does have a good amount of ward coverage into Free Range Chicken's jungle, and they are grouping up around the Fire Giant as 5. No one from Free Range Chickens here as of yet, and no one really in position to contest this at all. It's burning pretty quickly, under half already. I'm not sure if Free Range Chickens are even going to contest this. I'm a Monster down, but they do get the Fire Giant, and now we'll see where they go with this.
That was a bit of a confusing play as we see Athena trying to solo the Izanami, realizing not as much damage is going to happen.
Yeah.
But it was a very confusing play for Free Range Chickens to set up the wards, place them down, and then have the only 2 people around to contest immediately back without having anyone that just spawned in range to contest. That just is essentially saying, here's a free 100+ gold worth of wards and a fire giant. Enjoy that. And Binx Gaming just lapped it up because why not?
Waddle over on the left, dropping the Draugr, while Binx Gaming groups and goes to the T2 and solo lane. We'll see what happens here. The other 2 waves not really pushed up, but with that Fire Giant buff, that might not matter. Even with the Draugr buff, I think Binx Gaming should be able to clear out at least 1 tower, if not both of these on this push.
Yeah, if you're Binx here, I think you go for all 3 towers here just to get them off. You're going to end up in left lane. You should probably get the wave while you're rotating over there. Maybe delay a little bit, have Nike split push some of the mid waves, and then go for potentially left Phoenix. That's probably about as far as you're going to get with this Fire Giant if no good big fights happen.
As you said, they are stripping away the last T2 on the map. Free range chickens all lined up there except for Giraffe Anatomy, split pushing that solo lane down, making sure that whatever waves they can push out are pushed out. And Binx Gaming opting to back off here, lining up around the Gold Fury Primal, which is about to spawn. Though Free Range Chickens does have Oracle Vision, I'm not sure there's much they can do about this.
I like to talk about how this is a really interesting concept with the starting ideologies with the Nemesis and the Osiris. Both are auto-attack junglers. Osiris decided to go with the mannequins into the Ichaival right away. Not as much power, but it gets you into the bows, which is it's shown to be successful in this set. The Nemesis goes the more traditional Eye of the Jungle with stone cutting, gives her a lot more of an early spike and allows her to get that early penetration online. Now that Osiris has finished building the stone cutting, he's going to start to have some pen, but Nemesis has had that online along with her innate penetration that gets from her ultimate and her passive, and now she's gotten stone cutting online. Nemesis is going to be hitting a lot harder than Osiris.
Not to mention the 20% pen coming through from Serrated Edge as well as Nemesis passive. Though Osiris does get 10% pen off of the Berserker's shield, if I'm not mistaken. Now a bit of a slow push here. Ziggs is going in on Giraffe Anthony to 1v1. Is going to be shortly at least a 2 or a 3 as Athena comes in and Nike's there as well, and Giraffe Anatomy is put in the dirt. Only 1 ult expended there. Now Binx Gaming is pushing up that solo side, looking for that Phoenix. Will Free Range Chickens be there in time to defend? It looks like it.
This is exactly what I was talking about, though, with the build paths of the different junglers. They came head-to-head there. Yeah, Zixus did end up getting the Athena ult that helped towards the tail end, but do you see how much damage Zixus did to Osiris in 1 to 2 autos? It's the late game versus the early game here, and when you're playing the Nemesis, you can definitely aim for the late game. You're just as much of a threat late game as you are early game. You just have a bigger team fight impact in the late with your ultimate.
All right, we'll have to see how this Phoenix defense goes. The push is Binx Gaming pushing in. Nyx into the back line. The ult is good. Zoning, Fallen, and Waddle a little bit. Frontliners in. Not too much damage going down on the Phoenix just yet. And health scores are looking pretty high for the moment, but now Binx Gaming is focusing on the Phoenix. It's dropped to below half, maybe a quarter left. That's low health from Fallen Legend. Slim in with the ult. I'm a Monster takes down Waddle and will be able to get out with the reset. Zix is chasing off Raid Boss. Giraffe Anatomy getting the return kill onto Bones. And Kid Slim! Oh no! Lord of the Afterlife is good, but Zixus finally puts Giraffe Anatomy down, and then JKT gets a return kill onto Zixus. Now this is a little bit of a fall apart from Binx as Free Range Chickens are chasing in. King Batu ulting to his Nike teammate as Nike jumps away into the mid lane. Raid Boss knows where they are. Let's see what Free Range Chickens are able to get off of this power play now. 3 of them still up, no carries. But they do have the advantage for the moment as Fire Giant is about to respawn.
And Izanami spawns in before Bones does, and that was a good idea off of getting the pick on the Osiris. The unfortunate fact is you lost your Fire Giant buff. You don't have that regen anymore. You don't have that power buff anymore. When it comes to that Phoenix fight, they also got really spread out. Scylla gets out with 1 HP, decides to try to come back in to make a play, gets walked up by the Achilles, and decides to try to, well, I'm just going to teleport to my Athena, but unfortunately next to the Athena, there's an Osiris, and when you're HP next to an Osiris who's full attack speed with Odibo, you're not long for this world.
No tricks at this point. Everyone knows where the action is. Free Range Chickens heading straight for the Fire Giant. Binx Gaming respawning and heading in. Free Range Chickens have started up this Pyromancer, though it does have a lot of health left, and there's only JKT on it. Achilles not being able to finish it himself. Now Binx Gaming have picked it up. As the Fire Giant has ticked over to EFG, the value is much more. And the Fire Minions on the right side are pushing slowly, so the base of Free Range Chickens is not quite yet under threat. This Fire Giant dance is starting to push the Free Range Chickens back a little bit. Though, oh, Raid Boss ulting in, blinking and ulting. Gets big stun, Fields of Love down. Scylla getting big damage, gets away, but Bones is low as well in the back. But Giraffe Anatomy knocks down Dixis, and Bones follows after. King Batu gets the return on Giraffe Anatomy, and Kid Slim is running, trying to zone a little bit with that crush. The Nike shield pushing people back, but I'm not sure if this is enough. Waddles onto Kid Slim and gets him in the back. Scylla's back, and once again Athena has to use the Defender of Olympus, defensively getting out of trouble, joining the Nike at the empty speed buff, and this looks like an EFG for Free Range Chickens.
That fight goes so wrong so fast off just the amount of relics that Geb got with his Blink ult there. I think he got every set of beads except for Nemesis and Nike, who didn't have the beads up at the time, but this Scylla has 0% pen in her build, and we talked about how it was fine earlier when Geb just had the Voidstone online, but choosing to go last item Soul Gem over like an Ob Shard or any other percent pen option like Rada Tahuti means that she's suddenly going from hitting a lot to hitting very little as soon as these magical protections come online for the tanks.
Now, the one saving grace here is that the Phoenix is down, and Fire Minions are in the base of Free Range Chickens, so a couple of members going back to clear out those fire waves, but at the very least, barring some sort of quick team fight here, though Free Range Chickens are able to disengage, barring some sort of quick team fight here, it looks like Free Range Chickens will be able to reset and get that Phoenix back up. Though with this enhanced Fire Giant buff, you don't want just a reset, you want to get some value out of it.
Yeah, you definitely want to at least get a Phoenix in return here. Ideally, the left side one, as we previously stated last game, is the best Phoenix to get on the map. It's farthest away from Fire Giant. If you get that, it's a lot harder to contest, as we see a contestation over the Oni Fury happening right now.
Ooh. Giraffe Anatomy is in, however. Nike ults and gets out, and it looks like Free Range Chicken's not grouped up, so not able to force the issue. Binx Gaming getting away with a little bit there, getting those Oni waves to push out a little bit if Free Range Chickens aren't able to keep those waves pushed efficiently.
Yeah, and I do have some confusion as to why Cupid, I think, has had enough gold to upgrade a starter for quite a while now, but still hasn't. Currently, I only at 760, so I might be incorrect. He might have spent it recently on something else, maybe the Atalanta's bow online, but not having that cowl upgraded is starting to have an impact in team fights, because that is one of the starter items that is impacted based on how many people you're around. As we can see, Izanami currently has her cowl already upgraded, and that's offering her and her teammates extra benefits during these fights while they're all grouped up, whilst Cupid is just going off of what he has alone.
Yeah, we'll see if Cupid is able to upgrade that before this Phoenix fight happens. And it looks like the answer is no, because Free Range Chickens is in on that Phoenix. It's burning quickly, but so is Raid Boss. Raid Boss is down. And now comes the re-engage from Binx Gaming. Waddle caught out. And this is getting disastrous for the Free Range Chickens as Batu pulls JKT back in. Beads are good, but I'm not sure if he'll be able to survive the onslaught as Zixis comes around the back onto Fallen Legend and Giraffe Anatomy. Take down Fallen Legend, Giraffe Anatomy, Lord of the Afterlife taking him out. Batu still keeping JKT away from the fight as it's a 3v1 on the Giraffe Anatomy, and no hero play this time gets Zixis low, but it's not quite enough.
You just won't run down mid at this point. You have an Oni wave pushing left right now. Achilles has to choose whether to try to defend half-health Phoenix on right or let the minion wave get left. If you're Binx Gaming, you're calling for an end call here. Raid Boss tries to make a play on the Phoenix, doesn't blink in, just decides to walk in and try to start an engagement, gets promptly sickemed in the middle of the Phoenix, and just killed. He doesn't shield himself. He doesn't have the time to. He's just burned way too fast. And when you lose that and have the rest of your team backing up, Waddle has to be following the rest of the team. Otherwise, he's going to get caught out like he did here, as we see Achilles also getting caught out for stepping up too far.
Oh, and the last EFG buff is at risk here as the Phoenix goes down again for Binx Gaming taking down that solo side Phoenix for Free Range Chickens. The only wave was not enough to burn down the Phoenix on the left side, so that is a saving grace for Free Range Chickens as they are all spawning now. JKT manages to hang on to that EFG buff, though. It's not going to last for much longer. And now we're back basically the same game state we were right before the last EFG fight. One Phoenix down for the free range chickens, and everyone's up. Relic situation a little bit scattered. We'll have to see how this next dance and fight plays out.
Yeah, I think honestly, one of the main difference makers in that, at least in the first initiation, was, yeah, there was a lot of misplay on free range chickens, but Cupid upgraded his starter. And like we were just talking right before that, the upgraded starter item here with the cowl gives them so much more playability in these team fights and makes Cupid just so much more valuable to them in these team fights without just the Fields of Love and the autos that he's already putting in. Again, we talked about how the double crit is going to hurt them, but having this upgraded cowl gives the team so much more of a presence and can just pump out more damage than anything else.
We now have the answer to the question I asked before, and the answer is Mannequin's Hidden Blade for the Geb, along with a power pod. Pyromancer burning quickly for Binx, and they will take that buff as the EFG is about to respawn. But the difference is this time that the fire minions are pushed up towards Free Range Chicken's base. Giraffe Anatomy caught out. Lord of the Afterlife pushes him away. I'm not sure if this engagement will continue. Though it is split up, Waddle pushed away. And now the health bars are a little bit low for Free Range Chickens, giving a window here for Binx Gaming to go onto the EFG, which is spawning right now.
The main difference between the playstyles of Free Range Chickens and Binx Gaming right now is Binx Gaming has such a burst comp. They can just kill you in under a second with their double crits and the
no!
Giraffe
Anatomy caught out!
Now.
Raid Boss walking in too late. I'm not sure about this one, Raid Boss. Oh, and he's caught out, surrounded. Disastrous as the Nemesis ult comes down. And I think, and JKT also in the Fire Giant Pit. The Athena ult coming down onto JKT. His ult is good to get him out. But it looks like this EFG will be going the way of Binx Gaming. Kid Slim holding on to that ult for the secure. It's burning quickly, and yes, Binx Gaming takes the EFG. And with 35 seconds left on the closest respawn in a 5v3 and EFG on all 5 members of Binx Gaming, think this is the end?
Raid Boss has seen the error of his ways. He sold the Mannequin's Hidden Blade, and he's bought the Witch Blade. Honestly, I respect the attempt. But I'm glad that there's progress. There's learning happening here. He's learning that maybe third item Pythags isn't the play.
JKT in, but taunted off. The Izanami ult does not get much. Nick's in the back line pushing Waddle out, and the middle Phoenix goes down as well. Binx Gaming heading for that left Phoenix, dotting the I's and crossing the T's. But the respawns are now finished for Free Range Chickens, and now it's a 5v5, though all 5 members of Binx Gaming are about to get their ultimates back, and all 5 have the EFG as that third Phoenix goes down as well.
They need to have this fight before the Achilles ult comes back up, and that's what they're looking to do here. The Geb ult is up. If Geb wants to look to re-engage, I don't think that's the play. I think they just let them run.
Ooh, yeah. Raid Boss thinks better of it at the last second. The Nike ult is expended, but the Izanami ult is also down as well, as fire minions are going into the base of Free Range Chickens. All 3 Phoenixes down. Plenty of time on EFG as Binx Gaming opts to go for the Primal Fury here. Now, do you think the patience is good here, or do you want them to force the issue a little bit?
I think they should take their time, but I mean, if Free Range Chicken's going to hand them a free fight, I would definitely take it, and they're definitely taking it.
A 3v5 into 4 or 5 members with EFG is maybe not the best idea. Bones is going quickly, but so is Giraffe Anatomy. So far, no kills. Sounds like an Athena ult is being channeled. Ready to go. Kid Slim up into the ult. And I'm a Monster will not be fired. Six is knocked up. Shield is good. Yeah, I think it's kind of incredible that they didn't all get wiped there on Free Range Chickens.
I mean, I can tell you right now why that is because the people that they taunted there, Giraffe was the most at danger, and he managed to stay alive. But and because he has a Talisman of Energy online, Scylla gets to free cast on them off the 3-man taunt, and she does 0 damage because, again, she doesn't have any percent pen. When they are building magical damage, you need to have the percent pen to have the impact you want to have as the Scylla. And with the double Spectral online, Bones and Zixis, they aren't going to be having as much impact as they want either. So, yeah, it's a really good setup by Batu into what should have been at least a kill, probably double or triple kill if they're playing it right, but it ends up being nothing.
But Binx is not content to sit on their laurels now. JKT fighting Batu and Zixis and Kid Slim. This looks bad for the Achilles. He's nicked into the back line. Oh, Zix is taken down by Waddle's ult though. Giraffe Anatomy fighting, but not enough. Bones takes him down. The Phenol channeled onto Nike. I'm a Monster takes down Raid Boss. Waddle takes down Nike in return.
Oh,
but
Bones
puts Waddle down. And now it's 3 with EFG. Both carries still up for Binx Gaming. Only one Phoenix up, and Fire Minions are already in the throne room of Free Range Chickens. I think this set is coming to an end. And Fall Legend takes out Kid Slim, but the set is coming to an end. Binx Gaming
Bones had such a
taking it.
huge play in that last fight there. Holy.
Yeah, Waddle was going big, but Bones went bigger. Let's kick it back to the desk for the final analysis.
Thank you guys so much. Any thoughts there, Spirited Book, on how that kind of ended down? Because there was a lot going on there.
Yeah, it was a very back and forth game for a long time. Holy cow. that was a real barn burner, you gotta say. I don't know. That was just such a good back and forth game. I honestly thought that when the early game happened, I really thought that names are escaping me. I really thought that your team Batu was really close, and I thought you guys were actually gonna get smoked when the early game happened, but you guys brought it back, and that was a really well played game. I mean, honestly, to me, it's got to be Bones. He finally upgraded his starter item, and it really carried you guys in that last team fight. It was a good game overall. I mean, yeah, it was fantastic to watch.
Yeah, solid game, and again, not Jaguars. That's the other team they played. But shout out to Free Range Chickens. Wonderful set, not just in Game 2 and Game 3, and especially after a Game 1 that goes pretty rough, not really feeling like any point in the game they're in, to come out, not just give one game, but 2 games where they are in it from start to finish, really put it down to the wire, so good set overall.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it definitely came down to that, I think that kind of arguable throw on the right hand, Phoenix Siege, for Free Range Chickens. Raid Boss just going in a little too early. His team didn't look like they were ready for it. I don't know, man. Hey, do you know Auras are really good? Batu, Auras are really good. They're really good. They let your backline survive longer. They let your front line survive longer when you're near him, especially when you're a Geb with shields. So I don't know, man.
Yeah, well, thank you guys so much here for tuning in for this barn burner of a set, as Binx Jaguar able to even up their record here at 1-1. Free Range Chicken fall to 1-1. But tune in this next week. I believe we're going to attempt to have a Thursday cast for you guys at, I believe, 5 EST. Don't quote me on that. The schedule is up on our Twitter, so make sure you guys check that. I believe it is in Twitch chat, the socials there, so make sure you're keeping up on all those updates. But for now, we will see you guys. Thank you guys for having a wonderful time with us. Hope you enjoyed the set, and smite on.
right-hand side yet again. Yes, he's trying to pressure out the solo lane. We saw him do it in game 1 and a little bit in game 2. His goal is to kind of just pressure out Snowflake. Terra.
Oh my god. Oh my god! Brian Codex out here soloing Alfredo, the support, taking down the ADC. That's gotta be a clip that we throw somewhere, man. That was absolutely bonkers. Alfredo not feel the global ult, but she's here despite that. And we might see Apollo able to come as well. He does the final basic as Kairos tries to finish it off with the dash, but Fuzzy Clay did this, but regardless, it will be a Primal Fury going the way of Fuzzy and the Wuzzies, and now over 10,000 gold up before 20 minutes into the game, and it wants to be even more. Orden trying to chase out Kairos. It will be some peel, but
Fuzzy
joining in on the ultimate, gonna force out the ultimate from Kairos as well, and he might just get away, but it forces him to dash into a rough spot. Raijin dashes as well, trying to get damage from the Taiko Drum, so gets taken out before he can get more than one shot off, but Alfredo finding himself a double kill, looking for the triple. Fafnir low, triple kill coming out from Alfredo. He's going to look for the Quadra, getting low here, trying to find it onto the Artemis, but Double Mumble doing a great job of zoning him out and gets the dash to finish off the kill. Soul still alive, wants to put more damage into this Sobek, and he might be able to finish it off, and he does. 4 members fall from Going Ghost, only 3 members on the side of Fuzzy and the Wuzzies, and I gotta say,
That's all of their ults? Yeah.
Oh,
Huge! Oh my god!
huge.
Yeah,
Oh,
let's
bro.
go! My goodness.
Their room. Can you knock up?
I have it in 1.
Nah. Damn. If we were all right, we could do gold. If I just killed Mass too.
Going for
Kill the Bacchus.
Easier kill.
Coming over. Nice job.
He jumped.
Yeah, he
Nope.
jumped around me.
Yeah, we don't have anyone else coming. He's gone.
I'm just
We can leave and go.
quick.
Good shit.
Oh, just supports carrying games.
All me, baby, all me! You really thought you could contain this amount of God-given talent? It's already too late to run, just give me the penta! You can thank me later? Nah, you can thank me now. Somebody's gonna end up calling the police.